Fixed it. There we go. Okay, perfect. Hello, everybody. Welcome to NORA Podcast. Couple admins figured, why not get some information out there, talk to the racers, the viewers, the fans, while also spreading some information. For episode 1 is myself, Josh Conover, the owner of NORA, and I have Corey Danielson with me. Corey, say hi to the peeps. Hello,
Hey,
everybody.
how's it going, guys?
And today, our season has not actually started yet, so it's kind of like a preseason episode. We did run the Clash last night, our inaugural Clash, and had pole day qualifying for the duels, which we will get on, touch on in a little bit. But first, we're going to start with our first series of the week, which is our truck series, which as of right now, we have 36 people going for a truck title. We do start 32, so depending on how many show up each week, we will have go or go home qualifying. If you're not going for a championship, you can run for owner's points. Truck races are 100% in length with 100% fuel loads. That is something you can do with iRacing. You can adjust fuel loads. We do that in all 3 series, but the truck series, 100% race length, 100% fuel loads with stages. Um, we actually were able to land a sponsorship for the truck series this season. Ram Designs, Kyle Ramsey over there. Appreciate him a lot for coming on board. I believe it is a paint to the winner of each race along with the sponsorship. So again, huge thank you to Kyle. I've been slacking on my end as far as promoting and whatnot on the page and giving him shout outs, but we're going to work on that, Kyle. So thanks for sticking with me and, you know, helping me out. Um, but yeah, so there's actually our logo for Kyle in the series. Um, Again, we just started Daytona testing actually. We have 1 test in. And to say the finish was beyond exciting, Corey, I would say that's a bit of an understatement, wouldn't you?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, just testing in general so far, in like in every series period, just testing has been interesting, but definitely the trucks was it was very, I guess, hair raising a little.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're not running trucks, so you were up in the booth being admin for us, race control, as other guys like to call it, I guess. But I know just being in the seat and just working the draft was a lot of new guys, I will say, and then just some returning guys too. It's not hairy, but it's you're up on the wheel on the edge of your seat every lap. I can't imagine what it looks like from the booth.
Oh, it's sitting in the booth and watching those first 3, 4, 5 laps. I mean, there was a lot of beating and banging, some pushing. As soon as the green flag dropped, there was shoving everywhere. It was seriously like as soon as the green flag dropped, there was 2 to go, and that's the way it had. That's the way it looked until the first wreck. Um, it took out took out quite a few guys in that first wreck, and then things kind of slowed down after that. Like people kind of just got their jitters out a little bit. It's like, okay, let's slow down a little bit here. We got about 5 laps left for the first stage, and then another 25 after that. And then it just seemed like it was more smooth sailing after that.
Yeah, you could definitely tell too. Like I said, just being in the truck with the field. Um, Once we got the first, couple laps in and guys kind of calmed down, it definitely, felt like a different race. Still preseason, but I mean, like I said, it's, you're trying to learn and find your partner basically for the actual race. But looking at qualifying, we had a familiar face up top, I guess you could say. Joe Burchett grabbed the pole with a 51.565. Christian Snyder with Outlaw Racing was second, 51.637. I call him my mini me, but my little brother Jason was third with a 51.643. Brian Powell with Powell Racing Trucks also has Jason on his team as well. Powell was fourth with 51.651. And then one of our independents, actually, one of the new drivers to, I think, the league as a whole, actually, but especially the truck series, Tyler Davis, 51.655. So right there, I mean, your top five all within a tenth. And I think that was the trend all week, really. But that just set up, like I said, an exciting race. Eagles Nest, what's going on, man? Speaking of the finish, though, Corey, I'll put that up now. This was the wild finish we had to the truck race. Like I said, Burchett got the pole. I think he dropped to the back almost immediately. Went below the yellow, dropped to the back, and kind of just tried to survive. Um, Looking at the laps led, he only led one lap, and it was the last one. And as you can see, mayhem ensued. I think actually it was myself and my teammate Josh Susi were leading, and we actually had a little bit of netcode got together, and it caused a big melee. And this was the end result. Like I said, Burchett led one lap, got the win, beat number 8 right there, Tyler Hargrove, by .098. And even with that, Scotty Brown in third and Matt Stovall in fourth were all within a second. Not pictured, but I think we're all dying. But like I said, Corey, I can't imagine how this looked, from your perspective.
Sitting in the booth, watching everything unfold. Like, I honestly thought there was going to be a wreck way before this even happened. There was so much bouncing around, so much jockeying, so much pushing and shoving. I noticed a couple guys were just straight up shoving other trucks out of their way to get moving. And I thought for sure there was going to be a wreck at least before the white flag. And I was very surprised to see that it didn't. I mean, I was happy that it didn't because it gave us that amazing finish. But oh my God, I could not believe that finish. It was insane.
Yeah, and just like I keep saying, I mean, granted it's preseason, but just looking at some of the stats, I mean, 3 yellows, the race went 44 laps, 3 yellows, 15 lead changes, which, granted that, it's plate racing, but I'd actually have to check to see what the record was for Daytona. But, I mean, like I said, Burchett kind of rode in the back. He led one lap. Scotty Brown led 2. Looks like the most led was 10 by both Davey Hendricks and Keegan Bitzer. Keegan actually won our first stage, so I know it was kind of a confidence booster for him. But looking now to the end of the truck season, I know we haven't started the season yet, but looking at the driver roster and whatnot and who's running for points, like I said, 36 trucks, so every week you could have 4 guys missing the cut and watching from home basically. Um, what's your prediction so far, man? I mean, I know you have, I think, 1 or 2 guys. Actually, you don't have anybody running for trucks, do you?
I do. I have Nathan Shiflett in the 17. He's my only points driver I got in the.
That's right. I forgot you did add him. Okay, so even with that, I mean, you have one guy going for points in trucks. I mean, like I said, looking at the guys on the block, I guess you could say, going for a truck title. I mean, what are your predictions heading into the season?
Oh God. um, there's so much to even think about here because I mean, there's a lot of you guys that were in the top 4 last season, or that made the final 4 last season. That came back to run trucks again this season. Definitely, I guess for my truck guys that I think are probably going to do some noise, it's definitely Keegan. Keegan Bitzer, he's a damn good driver. Always has been. He always seems to keep clean. Same with Coy Pennington. Kyle Ramsey too. Also, obviously, a quick little shout out to the sponsor there, but he's a damn good driver. Josh Susi, Jake Boyer, you. You guys are all damn good drivers. You're all going to make some big noise. And, there's quite a few guys in here, too, that are new, and I don't really know anything about them. I haven't really seen them around at all. But I'm hopefully can see my 17 truck get into the chase this year. Hopefully Nathan Shiflett can bring it home. It's going to be real tough with the rest of you guys running, and there's a lot of heavy hitters in this league that are running trucks, and it's going to be a very, very tight race to watch.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm as far as the heavy hitters and whatnot. I wouldn't say any series is really, a slouch series. I think we have great competition across the board. I mean, as far as your numbers for say going for title, trucks is the top right now, which you would think. Excuse me, but you add Cup, you're thinking, Cup's supposed to be your highest series, but I would arguably, say our truck series, is our toughest series.
Oh, without a doubt. Obviously, there's Brian Powell in the Cup Series. He's an amazing talent. I enjoy running with him all the time. Love you, BP. You're awesome. Roy Crump, he's got his moments. He's a damn good driver too. Uh, especially, and I'm gonna toot my own little horn here. Not for myself, but Josh Stearman. He's my driver in the 22 car. I've run with him for the better part of 10 years, and he's always been up the front, no matter what. And he always, no matter what gets thrown his direction, he always finds himself running top 10, top 5 every week. And I think for that, it's going to be big for the Cup Series for me. But since we're talking Truck Series here, I definitely think it's going to be really interesting, especially with Randy McCanney. He's had quite a few moments too. Josh Jarrett ran real well in testing. Uh, Davey Hendricks too. He's been running well. Uh, Man, it's just a truck series for sure. It's definitely going to be one of, probably could end up being the best championship race to watch this year, especially with the way the truck series ended last season. Because you were right up there. You were within like a sliver from avoiding a wreck that cost you the championship. And if that little sliver was open just a tiny little bit, you would have squeaked right through there, and you probably would have won the championship. That was a tight race last year.
Yeah, I don't like to talk about that.
I don't blame you. And I mean, just watching that, even though I was on track and, seeing everything unfold around me and stuff, it's like, that was a really tight race. And I believe most of you guys I believe most of you top 4 are returning in the trucks, right? Obviously, except for Christian. I think he's
um,
doing B.
I think it's actually me and Jake. I think yeah, because Roy went to Cup. Um, Christian won, so he moved up, and then Jake and I stayed in trucks. So,
Yeah, that's right.
but I mean, and talking about that wreck though, I even told Keegan, that night, I said, you did nothing wrong. You made it through the wreck yourself. It was all me basically. I just thought I had it cleared and was looking, to my left in the car, and cause I think somebody was spinning. It might have been my left or my right. I was looking one way, and didn't have it cleared, and just got in the back of Keegan, and then ended up, frying the motor basically. So needed some luck, but you learn. And I mean, I kind of used that too as motivation for this year because I came out, last season, with our first season, obviously, so I didn't know what to expect really, but I came out Daytona, I ended up actually sweeping both Daytonas, so at that point, I'm in the chase, but I told Keegan too, I was like, dude, not for nothing, but maybe off of points, but I didn't win a race after Daytona in the Truck Series. Even, chase time, it's Donald won, I know Jake won Dega to get in, um, I think Christian got one too at one point, but I couldn't find the luck or the speed really to even win a race. And then going to Homestead, Jake and I had never even turned a lap on Homestead. We literally bought it the week before I think or the week of and started practicing, and to be running as well as I happened to be running, I was astonished, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, because I mean, I remember chatting with you about Homestead and everything because uh, I had it, but was or we were talking about running some test sessions together, and it was like what 2 days before the race, and then you finally got it. We quickly jumped in and ran a couple laps and went with it, and like I never really ran Homestead much either. So I mean, those were my first few laps there, and I mean, I ran like absolute garbage there, but then again, it was one of my first races. Was one of my first races here in the league. I think I only ran 8 in the truck series last year, maybe 6,
Hmm.
and it's just I had a lot to figure out. I still do, and it's just seeing the finish of the trucks championship race last year. It kind of disheartening a little bit because like you as a competitor you want to go in there and you want to feel like you can compete really well, but then knowing your own skill set like me, seeing how good you guys are and how tight everything ran, it's like this is gonna kick me in the nuts so hard. But at the same time, it motivates you just a little bit more because you know damn well that it can happen for you. You just have to keep working and seeing how hard you guys worked at getting to the championship four and everything that worked out for you guys. And like you said, like you didn't really do much in the chase, but you were just pointing and pointing and pointing and always making sure that you were up in the points to really get to the championship four, which is what a lot of guys do, even in like regular NASCAR. And you just have to make sure that you're running consistent, running good laps, always being right there in the top 10, top 5, which is what you did a lot because there were so many damn times running those races last year that next just picking people off, and then next thing you know, there's Josh Conover, like 4 trucks in front of you, and you don't know how the hell you got there. You just popped up there. It was like you like instant transmission from Dragon Ball Z, and you're right there in front of everybody else, and it's like, okay, what the hell happened here?
Real quick, Martin, what's going on, man? Um, but yeah, and I mean, any you can ask. I would say most people. I wouldn't say anybody, but most people, I'll help anybody. And my big thing is I'd rather, help a new guy or help somebody that's struggling, get around the track or try and help them out, give them some tips, than kind of be like, well, nah, you can figure it out. Because to me, it's just not fun. I'd rather, like I said, help people, get them competitive. Because in the end, if they're pushing you to be faster, you're only making yourself better too.
Right. And I definitely feel like running here in this league. I've run in plenty of leagues before. Uh, like a lot of you guys know, I ran with Cyber Thunder before I came here, and I'm much happier here. I really enjoy you guys. I love running with you, BP, Jake, Jason. A lot of these guys here, like this is my new home, and running with you, getting a lot of help from you and Jake and BP and Chad. It's really helped me out a lot, and I definitely hope that I can do something in my series this year. So I'm hoping to God I can do something, but I definitely enjoy being here. And like you said, with you, uh, always willing to always willing to help people out to improve themselves. It helps you improve yourself as well because if you see these guys improving on what you told them to do or taught them to do, you'll improve on that as well.
Right. Eagle's Nest, I see you, buddy. What's going on? Um, but like just looking, I know obviously we're getting ahead a little bit because we're not even haven't really even touched on Daytona, but actually we'll do that first. I know, like I said, we've been talking about predictions and whatnot, but given this field, I mean, granted, like I said, we have 34 guys right now or sorry, 36 for a title. So obviously, if they all show up and whatnot, we'll have a full field. But I guess just off your championship guys, obviously Daytona, anybody can pull out a win. Who would be maybe your top three guys, maybe to look for, and maybe potentially grab the win and lock themselves into the chase?
Ugh. Top three? Oh, geez.
Maybe not necessarily your top
Uh,
three finish, but looking like if when we sign into the race and you see, oh, Joe Burchett or Jake Boyer or Davey Hendricks or that they come to your mind as like, I want to be around them. They're gonna go to the front and keep the car clean or truck clean, I guess.
right. Most definitely Jake. Dude seems like he's a freaking master at plate tracks. Because every plate track that I've run with him, he always seems to stay clean. There was one testing session to where that didn't necessarily go that way for him, but you know, occasionally luck bites you in the ass and doesn't work out for you. But 9 times out of 10, from what I've seen from Jake, he's always right there at the very end, always right there. And it's the same with oh god, I forgot his name. Damn it, I feel stupid. Um, oh god, dude, there's too many names in here that I just want to throw out. But definitely Jake Boyer, Josh Susie, without a doubt. I mean, Susie's always right there as well. I mean, it's for me. I would honestly say it's you, Susie, and Jake. Because when you got, it's like you three hook up, and then good luck. Because you guys always find a way to get to the front, always. And I mean, I'm not trying to, you know, kiss anybody's ass here because you're an admin and Jake's an admin, but it's just like, in all honesty, like no bias and stuff. It's for sure you guys always seem to find your way up near the front at the perfect time.
Well, I mean, um, like I was saying too, though, I think it's also, I mean, granted, plate tracks are a wild card essentially, and anybody can really do anything, but especially with the stages and stuff now too, it adds another strategy aspect to the racing. Because it's not so much now, oh, we got 100 laps, let's just push, be up front, pit when we have to, and just call it a day. Now, you have the stage points to think about, you have the stage yellows to think about, all this stuff. So, granted, you can push to the front and try and get that stage win and get a playoff point, and obviously the 10 stage points. But at the same time, too, you risk getting up there and having even something out of your hand like netcode, especially on iRacing. Netcode, you risk having netcode take you out. Before the first stage, you risk. I mean, I don't see how highly it is to happen, but with the new tire model, you risk blowing a tire. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different factors now that come into play. Because I know, like, I mean, I'll give a little team secret, but most of our team, we're kind of, at least for Daytona, saying, we'll make stage points up, as the season goes on. We want to, be there at the end because, like I said, you can get all the stage points you want, but you get wrecked out, late in stage one or early in stage two or something. You know what I mean? You lose out on the main points at the end of the race, which like we've been talking about, the truck series, arguably our toughest series. This might be your best chance to grab a win and lock yourself into the chase.
Oh, without a doubt. And I've definitely known, especially in this testing session that we're just talking about. I did notice there were quite a few netcode incidents, and hell, in fact, I think that's what actually brought out that huge wreck right at the line was a netcode incident, and it was a small one, but I mean, netcode incident nonetheless. And definitely netcode incidents. They're definitely something you got to keep an eye out. I mean, iRacing has been better with it lately, but you never know when the netcode's going to rear its ugly head, and when it does, especially in plate racing, it's going to tear a lot of stuff up, and it's not going to be good for anybody because plate racing, especially when you throw points into the mix, it really gets emotions high all the time.
Yeah, well, and I think even like last night with the Clash, like I said, we'll touch on that whenever we get the cup. But it, it honestly, we had, well, too, just from the pole qualifying again, which like I said, we'll touch on. But one of the big things we all forget about sometimes too is the weather could be, you know, just as big of a factor as netcode.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's especially with aero being so important. Like wind in any random direction will really screw you over. And in the trucks testing, it didn't really seem too bad, but most definitely, like, I mean, if the track's like 120 degrees and you're trying to push people around, the back end's going to get really squirrely. And I think that happened quite a bit in that trucks testing session because I noticed that there were quite a few kind of squirrely back ends there before really anything major actually happened. And there were some pretty nice, or some damn good saves in that testing race too. And you could always, especially with like the dynamic weathers and stuff like that. I mean, you could get a cloud go over and turn 1 and 2, put some shade down there, drop the track temp like just at the drop of a hat, and then you go to 3 and 4, and it's another 5-6 degrees warmer, and you're loose.
Yeah, I know yesterday it definitely threw me for a loop. But we'll kind of wrap up the trucks here real quick. I know one of the things, like we talked about before, we even went live, was kind of to give some championship predictions. So I know we touched on Daytona, but I have my 10 already in no order. But looking at the roster for points, who roughly would you put into your truck chase here? Again, it doesn't have to be in any order, but
My 10 here, uh, you and your brother. I would go with you guys without a doubt. Coy Pennington, Kyle Ramsey, Jake Boyer. That would be 5. Josh Susi, 6. Uh, Joe Burchett, 7. Martin Pluti. Um, Carson Aub. I believe that's what, my 8?
that would be 9.
9? All right. And in all honesty, I've seen him run in one race so far, but I like what I saw so far, and I'm hoping to God it works for me. I'm gonna go with my guy Nathan Shiflett.
Hmm. So I know, just looking at our different 10, because I was kind of just writing down as we went so that way we could lead into quote unquote the next round. But I know, just looking at our different um, 10, I guess you could say, it's different. I'll say that. I know one that you started off with was Jason. Um, might just be the brotherly love, but I he seems to have some very poor luck, we like to say. Um, you also had Coy. I didn't put Coy in mine just because he is a dirt guy. I'm trying to turn him into um, an asphalt guy, so he's going to try and run his big race is Eldora. So if he gets in, it'll most likely be because of Eldora. Um, you actually have Kyle as well, which I was kind of on the fence for my last few. just because I haven't really run with Kyle so much on asphalt, but he might surprise me. We both had me, we both had Jake, we both had Susie, Burchette. You actually had Martin. I did not have Martin in my 10, but again, he's a newer guy, so he could, surprise everybody. Um, and then even the last two, Carson and Nathan, I did not have them in either. But again, especially the new tire model, different year, fuel load, setup, stuff like that, strategy. It Anything can happen. So I mean, none of our 10 are obviously safe, but um, so given your 10, and then looking at the first round of the truck playoffs, which looking at the playoffs in general are by far easy. I think there's maybe one or two races in the truck chase that are, kind of quote unquote easy, but I think even with this field, it's going to be tough regardless. But looking at the first round, you go to the newly named Gateway Raceway, Canadian Tire, and then Bristol, which, like I said, right there,
Ooh.
that's Gateway. It's hit or miss, it seems. I think your cream kind of rises to the top on that one. Canadian Tire, just as big as a wild card as Dega or Daytona would be, in my opinion. And then Bristol, the same thing. I'm sure you're gonna have tempers flaring, especially being a cutoff race. That's gonna be hectic for sure.
Oh yeah, and tempers are always high at Bristol. I mean, it's you might as well say it's like a plate race, even though it's a short track. 'Cause, I mean, you're always beating and banging on each other. I'd like to say it's almost worse than Martinsville. I mean, Martinsville's a little bit more sketchy just because it's so much tighter. But Bristol, it's so high, it's so fast paced and high speed. But you've got the high bank, sharp turns, and with so many trucks in such a small area, there's going to be a lot of tempers flaring that race.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I think last year it was also a cutoff race too, because remember Jake got in by 1 point over Keegan, but it's like I said, it's pretty much all wild cards. Like I said, Canadian Tire, basically just keeping all four on the track and not in the grass is kind of your thing there. But like I said, Bristol, I mean, there's no place to hide. You're regardless of where you're running. If we get a full field at that point still, whether you're leading or you're running, 32nd, you're surrounded by somebody. You're always, thinking of what to do, what not to do, and stuff like that. But like I said, with that first round though, and you're 10. I mean, what do you see happening? Who do you see moving on? Who do you see maybe struggling a little bit?
Uh, that's tight because I mean I don't know how Carson, Nathan, and Martin run on short tracks. I've obviously, like you said, I mean you haven't really seen them run at all. I haven't either. I mean, I've seen Martin a little bit more than I have Carson and Nathan. Nathan, I've only seen run that one trucks race earlier this week. Then obviously that was Daytona, so I don't know how he's going to be at any other tracks. Um, Same with Carson and Martin. I have no idea. So I mean, and it's going to be tough to say for me, but I mean, in all honesty, I think obviously the safe ones for me are going to be you, Jake, and Susie. I'd say that you three right off the bat are going to be safe. I'd say for the bubble, I would put Jason and Nathan. I think they'd be my bubble guys to be the first two eliminated out.
First two eliminated. Okay. So if those are your two outs, that would be me. Let me see here. Me, Coy, Kyle, Jake, Susie, Burchette, Martin, and then Carson would be your 8 going to round 2.
Yep.
Martin in the chat, the disrespect from Conover. It's not disrespect. I mean, Corey kind of hit it on the head too. Just being new, you know, we've only run, Daytona together. Well, we've run a couple mile and a half and stuff, but it's it's going to be an interesting year. You know what I mean? It's hard to say, oh, this person's going to grab a win or this person's going to struggle or whatnot because with potentially, go or go home every week just for championship guys, it's going to be tough.
Oh, without a doubt. And then on top of, potentially, like you said, the go and go home every single week, on top of the chase, I mean, any one of these guys could potentially have a really, really crappy qualifying day and then not make the race in the chase, and they're screwed.
Yeah. Well, that's the big thing too. I know, I mean, going off last year, I know there was a couple times I think actually, I don't even remember my own, but I know there was a couple times like Keegan, I think struggled to qualify, towards the front. I think Christian had a bad week or two, but that's what makes a champion though. It's not so much, oh, I don't like this track. I qualified 28th, barely made the race. It's just gonna be a bad night. It's gonna be, who can look at that qualifying time and say, the hard part's out of the way. We made the race. You know what I mean? So we're getting points. Now though, I gotta focus. Make all the stages, try and get spots when I can, and like I said, just for Daytona too, just be there at the end. Try and maximize every position you can get. Pit road, limit the mistakes. Like I said, restarts. Don't make any silly mistakes and grab a penalty or something like that. So, I mean, it there's a lot to factor in just even on one night because I mean we're talking about qualifying too. You got to remember too. Obviously, changing lanes, stuff like that, like the penalties. You make a silly mistake, because it slips your mind, and you change lanes. Depending on the track, you could find yourself one, almost 2 laps down.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, especially with everything getting thrown into the mix this season, uh, because of the new updates with iRacing and the completely revamped chase schedule now, with obviously Homestead not being the championship race anymore. I mean, so much can go on, so much can happen. I mean, like we've already talked about, you could have a really crappy night qualifying, throw yourself in the back, or you potentially not even make the race at all, period. And then that just puts you in an even deeper hole. And then the next week, you're just trying to punch harder and harder and harder, trying to make up those points that you already lost. Well, it's very likely that it might not work. And I think that's what's going to make everything so interesting, especially in the Trucks Championship run, is mostly the fact that we have so many new guys running for points in the Truck Series, and I have seen almost none of them run at all. I couldn't even tell you, like, and all other than Nathan, I honestly couldn't tell you, like, what car or what Martin's truck looks like, what Carson's looks like. I couldn't tell you what any of their trucks look like. Uh, that sounds horrible on my part, but I mean, that's what's so exciting, though, is you haven't seen any of these guys run, and there's so much uncertainty going on or going into the chase right now because of how many guys are running. Most of these guys are brand new to the league, and then you throw in the fact that there's most likely going to be go or go homers every single week. I mean, in all honesty, I think to me that is why the Truck Series is going to be so fun to watch, and why it's going to be so stressful come chase time.
Yeah, and then Martin said in chat too, he's just being sarcastic, and then he said he'd be shocked if he made the playoffs. Which, again, like you said though, there's so many unknowns now this year. Just you know, the season technically hasn't started yet as far as iRacing and NASCAR and stuff, so they could even update the setups again on us, and it could be a complete 180. We could go to just say Atlanta for week 2, and the setup could be wicked loose. That might suit just say Martin or Keegan or somebody else. It might not suit me or Jake or your guy Nathan or somebody. So I mean, there is definitely a lot of question marks per se. Um, but I think I'm right there with you though. I think the trucks like I've been saying the whole time, are arguably or is arguably our top series. I mean, like I said, just strictly off of guys going for a championship, we already. I mean, granted, it's only 32 for a truck field, but we already have a full field just based off that. So I mean, even sitting here, doing our mock like playoff grids, it is tough to narrow it down. Like I just did mine real quick, and I'm like looking at who I have in the first round and trying to move them up, and I'm like, I can't. Like I have them set now, but then it's like looking at the final four, like looking at the tracks, it's like, huh, like I'm scratching my head. Like it's there. Even the second round, like you go to Vegas, which was kind of my one, quote unquote easier track, but then even after that, Dega and then Martinsville.
Yeah, those two tracks without a doubt are major, major wild cards. Because obviously, you got the plate track with Dega. You never know what the hell's going to happen there. And Martinsville, that's a lot of that is skill too, but it's so much luck as well. Because you could end up getting somebody. You're running 2, 3 laps to go, or even early on in the race, running next to somebody, and they wheel hop the hell out of a corner, and next thing you know, you're getting door slammed into the wall. Because unfortunately, I did that last season, maybe about 5, 10 laps in to a chase driver. I can't even remember who it was. But all I do remember is I went nose first into the wall, took him with me, and then understandingly, he got pissed off and floored it, and I went rolling over. So, I mean, I understand why he was mad. I was mad at myself for that too. And that's so much uncertainty with Martinsville because you get guys that want to run so well, but then they just wheel hop the hell out of a corner and then they're taking you out.
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of set it to like the wheel hop. But granted, that's not anything on purpose or anything. That's just the nature of carrying the speed and trying to get into the corner and just the weight transfer and all that stuff. It can step out on you. I know it stepped out on me a couple times too. It's the nature. You see it even the real life guys. They get down to the corner and it just wheel hops. I mean, but like I said though, it just like looking at who I have in the round of 8 and then trying to move them on, it's tough. Which my round of 8 actually, forgot I didn't even say it, but I went from McCaney, Davey Hendricks, Susie, Hargrove, Brichette, myself, Stovall, Jake, Keegan, and Blade were my original 10, and I cut it down to Brichette, Susie, Randy, myself, Blade, Tyler Hargrove, Davey Hendricks, and Matt Stovall. And then, like I said, looking at these tracks, I have obviously this is just a rough estimation, but I have Brichette winning Vegas, going to the Final Four. I have um, Susie advancing just off of points. I think he'll be top 3, top 5 at Vegas. I think Dega maybe not win, but I think he'll be up there enough to kind of guarantee himself on points. I think Davey actually wins Dega just from what I've seen from him at Daytona so far. He's always up front at the end. And then I actually have Tyler Hargrove getting in on points over the rest of us, um, rounding out my final 4. So you got your 8. Myself, Jake, Susie, Coy, Kyle, Joe Brichette, Martin, and Carson. Like I said, you know the tracks. You have Vegas, Dega, and Martinsville. What do you think, man?
My final four, I agree with you on Burchett. I do think he will most likely win Vegas. He seems to be really smart in the races that he does. Uh, Second one I'm guaranteeing in is you. I'm going to go with Susie as well. And for the fourth driver in, oh God, who do I have remaining?
At this point, it would be Jake, Coy, Kyle, Martin, and Carson battling for your final spot.
Oh man, that one's going to be tough. But in all honesty, I think Coy might kind of shock some people. I think he might make the final.
Picking the dirt
So,
guy.
because I mean, I'm a dirt guy at heart. I mean, I suck racing on dirt, but seeing what Coy has done on dirt, and I think he'll transition pretty well on pavement. I think he'll improve so much more during the season, and I think he'll make the championship four with the rest.
And it's funny you actually put him in because I watched a couple of our first races from our inaugural season last year. I think it was Atlanta or something. And he's running top 10 most of the race. He likes to go, go, go. I don't think he fully understands like the tire fall off and the setup gets tighter and this and looser and this and that. And he kind of falls off late in a run, but like short runs and whatnot, if he can kind of stay focused and keep the car under him, he's got speed. So he actually wouldn't, like you said, he actually would not surprise me if he found a way to get into the playoffs. And like I said, he's the dirt guy. He won our Eldora race last year, so I know he's banking on that this year to get in the chase. So you know if he's eligible, because remember, you got to run half the races. So I think if he runs half the races, if not all of them, more than likely will be up front at Eldora if he keeps it clean again, heats and whatnot, and you know makes the playoffs. I think he can be a contender. Yes. But now something I know you touched on, the finale not being at Homestead this year and going to Phoenix, which also again not ISM anymore. They changed it back to Phoenix, but with that, I won't say three because I kind of struggled a little bit, but Burchett and Susie. I don't think Joe ran our truck race. I don't think, but I know Susie was top three, top five all night. Had a late race wreck, kind of little controversy with it, but needless to say, ran up front, most of the race. So Joe is just quick everywhere we go. I don't think he has a bad track really. So, you got Burchett, myself, Susie, and then your wild card Coy. Who do you think's gonna be your season 2 champ, man?
Oh, damn. I mean, it's going to be so damn difficult because, I mean, I think the only thing that I can throw out there is being a short track at Phoenix. I think that might be the only kryptonite for Coy in this race for the championship here. So I'm just going to set him aside. But for you three, uh, you, Joe, and Susie, I mean, I've seen you and Susie run at ISM before. You guys were so damn good. I mean, you were always right there. Like you said, Susie ran top three, top five the entire damn race until some controversy happened. And yeah. And you were right up there along with them as well. You ran real damn well until, if I do remember correctly, you had something happen to you as well. And that actually was the race that I remember most because, surprisingly, I'm horrible at ISM, but somehow, some way, I was running for top 10. And that's the biggest thing I remember out of that race, other than uh, you and Susie running so well. And I think that's the big thing. That's the question here. Uh, Damn. I'm gonna I'm gonna go with Susie. I mean, I honestly think you, Joe, and Susie are gonna be battling all race along. But I just think Susie's just gonna find some way to get.
It's actually funny you say I'll be up front because as of right now, like I said, I don't think I've found one track that I can keep pace with Joe at besides the super speedway. But and it's actually funny too. You just picked Susie because I was kind of thinking about mine while you were explaining yours. And believe it or not, considering how different our chase started, and even the second round was kind of a little different. But our final four, we had two of the same people, and believe it or not, we both actually picked the same champion. I actually ended up picking Susie as well. I think just knowing how well he ran in our chase race last year, like I said, I think he was top three most of the race except for pit road maybe. Um, and I actually, you just mentioned talking about me, I actually caught up in that wreck, so I think I finished like 20th or something like that. But yeah, but like I said, I think if I had to pick any of the two that it would come down to, I think it would be Joe and Susie. I think Susie gets the edge. Um, but even then, I think if they don't win the race, they're going to be second and third or third and fourth, or one of them's going to win and one of them's going to finish second. I think it I actually will guarantee it'll probably take a win to win this truck championship this year.
Oh God, yeah, without a doubt. There's so many big names in this, and with how well you guys have run at so many of these tracks and everything, I completely agree. It's definitely going to take a win to win the championship again this year. And I pick Susie because seeing him in so many in every race that I've run with him so far, like, yeah, his emotions get really high, but oh man, I guess I would just kind of say, like, I'm not sure if he's going to take offense to this, but I would like to say he's kind of like Kyle Busch. Like, his emotions get really high, and he gets really high strung, but he still seems to keep it calm. He still seems to like not let his anger get to him on track to really screw him out of a race. I mean, there have been some races before to where I've heard him like screaming in Discord, and it doesn't look like he's pissed at all on the track. Like, he looks like he's calm and collected and nothing's going on, but he's pissed. And I think that's ultimately what's gonna help Susie win the championship. Is he will get pissed, but he stays calm and collected.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, I can see that. Um, it's but even I mean, trucks granted there was a short of season, but that's another thing too though. It's going to be who can channel, not necessarily rage, but channel all that and use it as fuel to push for the championship in a way.
Right, and I'm not 100% sure how Joe is. Uh, I know how you are. Like, I've still yet to hear you get super pissed off to where you're like screaming at people. And I've seen you race plenty of times. I mean, hell, I've run dirt with you. I've dicked around with you in officials races. I mean, I've run a lot with you, so I've seen how you run, and I think you're going to be up there, contending too. It's just for me seeing Susie, it's like that one race that I remember. We were all just chasing Susie. It seemed like as soon as any of us got anywhere near him, he'd peel out again. As soon as we'd like, it didn't matter what or how far into a run we were. As soon as any of us tried or started to even pick away at the gap that he made, as soon as it seemed like as soon as he saw that gap just get to a certain or get to a certain point, he was gone. He'd pick it back up again, and I don't know how the hell he did it.
Yeah, it's like I said though, it's the same thing to me with Joe. Like every time Joe would run with us, you almost knew, like, okay, well, even besides Joe, Ethan Lane, at the beginning of the season, I think at one point he had won like 6 straight B Series races. Like, you almost knew, like, okay, he's here. We're gonna have to push, 100 times harder now just to try and keep up. And like you said, it's just you could never seem to get that gap under a certain point. I don't know if you have chat up, but JJ, uh, Josh Jarrett, um, our first real question goes, what's going to be my highest finish he'll get this season?
Uh, Actually, I do remember running. In all honesty, I think he'll get a couple of top fives without a doubt. Um, I think his highest finish will probably be, but it will be in a hell of a battle for a win. I think he'll be up there running top five. I'm not 100% sure which race it will be. Hell, it could be a plate track. Hell, for all I know, he could be one of those guys that throws a wrench into our chase predictions and is like, "Screw you guys, here we go. I just won Daytona."
Right.
But I mean, because hell, Jarrett, he, I mean, hell, he was seemed to be running pretty damn decent in that testing session too. So I mean, just this whole season is a complete, like, I don't know what to even say about this season. But for Jarrett, in all honesty, if he doesn't just throw a wrench into the equation and win a plate race, I think his top finish will be third.
He goes, I'd take that, LOL. But yeah, it actually I don't think he has Daytona yet, so I don't think he's running any tests with us besides like the couple mile and a half and stuff we did. But I'd be right up there with you. It would not surprise me one bit, because I know he's gonna have supposed to have Cody Batten on his team with him, and then Adam Tevez, and then Tevez has, I believe, a truck open as well. I don't know if he's got that ride filled yet or not, but so he could potentially have three other teammates out there helping him, and like come Daytona, all you need is drafting partners, and that right there, three partners is just about what you need. So I
Oh
think,
God, yeah.
like we've been talking about with stages and all that stuff, just keep your nose clean and he could be up there at the front. Like you said, he could very well throw a wrench in our chase predictions and you know kind of say, well, you guys didn't pick me. Here's your consequence. I just won Daytona. Now I'm in.
Right. And to be honest, feel free, go win Daytona. That would be awesome to see. And I mean, I don't know who's going to win Daytona at all. I don't even want to think about who's going to win Daytona. All I know is I've got a truck running for championship points, so I'm going to have to try, and I'm going to hope to God he wins. I'm going to be cheering for him, but with me admitting that race, got to stay neutral. So either way, I mean, it's going to be a fun race to watch for me.
Yeah, he just said as far as he knows, it's still open. But all right, I think we did our chase. We did our Daytona predictions. We did kind of like a season outlook for say. We did our champions. So I think we'll wrap up the trucks there, and that'll lead us into our NORA B Series, which one thing I did forget, our truck champion last year, Christian Snyder. Once again, congrats to him. Um, our B Series champion last season, Thomas Gould, who has moved up to the Cup Series, and Christian Snyder went from Trucks to B. So that means we will have two new champions this year. Christian obviously hoping to go 2 for 2 in a way, grab the Cup, or sorry, the Truck Championship, move up, grab the B one. Looking at the roster, I believe B has 17 people as of right now. I'll have to double check that when we get closer to the season, but 17 people as of right now. We have one Daytona test under our belt, and three names that we've kind of been, throwing around here as far as, wild cards for the truck title and whatnot. I mean, two of them had a photo finish at um, Daytona on Wednesday night when we ran it. Davey Hendricks and Martin Plute. Here it is on screen. It was .001, which, if you ask me, the only difference to that could be Davey was in a Supra and Martin was in the Camaro, and I think the Supra with the little pointy nose kind of gave it to him. That's just me. But needless to say, I think we actually all wrecked behind this, I believe. We did actually, because
Yes,
I was
we
actually
did.
in that. Yeah, we all, yeah, I think I'll actually take blame for this one. Knowing I wasn't going to get the win, I forced it three wide, and me and Randy got together, and yeah, we started a big one to finish. But needless to say, like I said, the finish is on screen for anybody that's watching. But this is only testing, and we've had to this point on Wednesday night two amazing finishes.
Oh God, yeah. And of the testing so far, this for me, this was the most fun race that I was in. Uh, I mean, we were all right there, beating and banging and stuff, and this race was absolutely freaking mind-boggling. No idea how nobody wrecked in the first 15 laps. Not a clue at all. Because as soon as the green flag dropped, it was even worse than the it was worse than the truck race. I mean, it was definitely go 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 as soon as the green flag dropped, and there was so much swapping around, so much dancing around, cars sliding, so much going on in the first 15 laps, but somehow nobody wrecked, and that was all up in the lead pack. And oh man, just sitting up there, I was white knuckling it. My hands hurt after the first 15 laps because I was just so afraid that something big was going to happen, and nothing did.
And it's funny too, talking about no yellows in the first 15 because we did 40 lap races. We did a short 15 lap stage to begin both races Monday and Wednesday, and then we obviously went to the end of the race. We talked about the trucks with Burchett only leading one lap, but if you look at the B series results, Davey led 29 laps, so he was up there all race.
Oh yeah, Davies definitely. I think that race definitely put Davey on a lot of radars coming into Daytona for the B Series because he was strong through and through the entire 40 lap race, and it definitely put him on a lot of people's maps because he's definitely going to be one guy to watch out for.
Yeah, and even before the race, because at this point, like I said on Wednesday, he did not have a B ride. I think his truck owner um, registered another car, so I think Davey will have a ride for Daytona. Which, like I said, looking at qualifying now, he came right out and put his name out there. So this is gonna be my race. You're gonna have to take it from me. A 50.010 put it on the pole. I was actually second with a 50.020. Susie was third, 50.031. Matthew George, 50.037. And actually, Coy tied Matt with a 50.037 to round out your top five. So right there, you, basically everybody else's owner's points. The only championship guy in the top five right there was Matthew George. So, I mean, like I said, just looking at the difference, we didn't have a yellow in that 15 lap run. Could we? Definitely. It looked like it was going to. That's what kind of why I bailed out from second. I think I ran like 20th or 21st that whole first stage. Like I said, Davey just about led almost the whole first stage. Him and Paul, I think, were leading. Paul Granado were leading both lines and kind of battling. Um, Looking, like I said, last led. Davey led with 29. Paul had 14. Uh, Actually, the only person that led another lap was Martin. He's got one lap led, it says. So it, it was a casual Daytona race, I'll say. Not as many lead changes. There was only 8 according to iRacing, but even then, again, 3 cautions, 4 total, but obviously you don't count the one for the stage. So 3 cautions over the 44 laps technically because we had a green, white, checkered. But then, like I said again, though, just coming to the line, we had a big one behind the leaders, but I mean, like I said, it's still on screen. This week, so up to this point, was phenomenal for finishes.
Oh yeah, and I just don't even know what to say about that B race because I mean it was a blast to run in, and like I said, like the first 15 laps, it definitely looked like something huge was going to happen. Like you could just feel it building and building and building, and you know how so many people know what it's like to watch like the real life NASCAR guys beating and banging and jockeying around on the or in Daytona and stuff like that, and you can just feel the tension building when you just know something big is going to happen, but then it doesn't, and it's like running in it. You just feel like the anxiety building up so much, and it's like, come on, just let it happen now, just let it happen now, and then it just never happens. That's how it was the entire 15 laps, and then for what another damn near 10 laps in the second stage. It was the same way. And then the lid finally fell off. And then that's when the big one finally happened. And that was what, maybe about 10 laps into the second stage.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's all that started. The guys got racing and whatnot, and I started second. And like I said, I dropped as soon as I could. I think it was like I think I couldn't get to the bottom for like a lap or two, but as soon as I got to the bottom, man, like I said, I was dropping back. I mean, granted, we had a faster pair because it is still preseason, but I wanted no parts of it. I got to the bottom. I dropped to the back. I was, like I said, I wanted no parts of it. Um, but everybody is different. Some guys want to be, up front. Some guys, are like me, want to be in the back and kind of survive. Some guys, everybody's different. So, which I like too. It's nice seeing the different strategies and seeing how stuff plays out.
Oh, yeah. And, I had one of my guys running up near the front the whole race as well, Sean Briscoe. He was running up there top 10 the entire race. I was a lot of the time in the top in the first 15, 16 laps. I was a couple rows behind him, so I was maybe running 16th. I wasn't too far behind him, but just sitting back to watch everything that was going on, seeing all these guys that with all these different strategies. Like I know about 1-2 laps in, I saw you just bounce. You were gone. You wanted nothing to do with it. There was a couple other guys that followed you. Uh, I was thinking about following you, but I didn't want to bail on Sean, so I just stuck with Sean, tried to get with him. He somehow made his way up even closer to the front, and just seeing so many different strategies play in there. I mean, it worked out for a lot of guys. It ended up biting a couple other guys, and I think that's definitely going to be what's so interesting because I've seen so many different strategies play in, and I guess all of them kind of bit somebody at some point. Because if I do remember correctly, uh, in the second stage, I tucked in with you and fell to the back, and then ended up getting caught up into a late race wreck.
Mm, I think so. I know the main wreck for me was I think we were coming to like two to go or something, and I had my teammate Joey Stats behind me, and we saw our faster pair. So at that point, I was kind of just like, let's go for it. We still got the faster pair. Might as well try it. And I don't think it was as windy, but I think the cars were still kind of jockeying and moving all over a little bit. Um, and I think I know it was Randy, and I think they were just trying to stay in line, but like they were just moving all around. So I told Joey, I said, just get Timmy. If we get a run, we'll get a run. Let's go for it. And he got Timmy. We went, and the hole just kind of closed up as we got there. But you know, it, that's just part of racing, though. I mean, for all I know, it could have been the air that sucked me and Randy together, and it could have been a spotter malfunction. You know what I mean? It could have been telling him clear. It could have been telling me outside, and we could have just got together. So I mean, it's it's just it's the type of racing. But like I said, though, now we know, we learned maybe not to do that in the race. But I mean, I think with two to go, you're gonna have a lot more people doing it.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, 2 to go. It's You're definitely going to hold the Keselowski mindset. You're not lifting at all. Like if the person in front of you isn't going to go, so be it. You're going to go through them. It's 2 to go. You're not lifting because why would you lift with 2 to go? I mean, understandably, if you're running top 4, you're in the first 2 rows of cars running side by side, you're going to lift a little bit, but you're barely even going to tap that brake just to trail brake it just a little bit. And just enough to that way you're not running through the guy in front of you. But I mean, without a doubt, seeing the way that testing session went, it's really going to be very interesting to see what happens here in a couple of weeks. Because, oh man, as much as it was fun thinking about how the Daytona race is going to be for the trucks, I mean, oh god, this B Series Daytona race is going to be ridiculous.
Which, real quick before we touch on the B, I have somebody in chat asking what the gray means. What do the races in gray mean on the truck schedule? They are the triple truck challenge races, which in real life, I believe it is like 100,000 or maybe like 50,000 or something. I think cash to the winner, and then like it's basically like Dash for Cash in the B series. Because if you look at the B series schedule, I don't know if you're in the Discord or not either, but it's actually something I forgot to put on the stream. But um, just like the B series has the Dash for Cash, the Truck series last year started having the Triple Truck Challenge. Obviously, we're not going to do cash. I think we're just doing double points, I think, for the 4 drivers that are eligible or something. I forgot. I have to look at the rules. But yeah, that's just what that is. Like I said, the B series is the same way. Their races in gray are the Dash for Cash races. Um, which, like I said, if you're eligible for it, which obviously Dash for Cash in the B is just for championship guys. The Triple Truck Challenge is just for truck guys. I believe the 4 eligible drivers are going for like 5 extra bonus points those races, I think. Because obviously we can't do $50,000 to whoever wins it. I wish we could, but unfortunately it's just not in the budget for that. But yeah, that is what that means. Back to our B series talk. Good question though, in chat. Thank you. Um, back to I'm gonna actually put up the B car rides. A lot of them by Flatline Graphics, Jake Boyer. Um,
Yeah,
a couple
props.
of them that are going to show up, I believe, are Christian Snyder. Um, actually, there's one right there, the 18 car, Christian Snyder. Um, I don't know about you, but we're kind of just talking about like the Daytona race. One big difference. No problem. Yeah, no problem for explaining that. It was a good question, like I said. Um, one big difference just from B to the truck race. Truck race, like I said, we start 32, and we have over 32 guys going for a title. So if they all show up, obviously, you're going to send Chase or championship guys home. But for the B series, like I said, as of right now, we only have 17 guys going for a title. We start. I think they just changed it again this year. I think it's what 36 now, 38.
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure on the.
Oof. Um, but yeah, I think they just dropped it for the B, or for the, well, I guess it's going to be in real life, but B for us. So, but even with that, um, we have 17 guys going for a title. So even we'll just say 38. But even then, you're still going to have 10, 11 guys from owners points, in the Daytona races. So again, being different than the trucks, it's you're going to have your championship guys, but you're also going to have guys out there going for owners points and an owners title for their team. You're almost going to have not necessarily 2 different agendas, but like 2 different mindsets almost. Because like I said, you're going to have guys going for stage points for a championship, but then you're also going to have guys that are trying to finish good for owners points and get their owner max points basically.
Oh yeah, and I'm definitely one of those guys. Going to be in the B series, running for owners points. I've also got Josh Stearman. He's going to be running the number 4 car for Craig. He had some ankle surgery, so he's going to miss a few races. Hopefully, not too many. It's going to be nice to see him back in the car. But get well, man. But anyways, yeah, I got Josh. He's going to be in his car. I'm going to be running the 33 Skull car. No, not Skull Vikings. That's stupid. But it's with so many owners points guys going to be running in Daytona. It's definitely going to make it seem a lot more like, I guess, like a B series clash. I feel like there's going to be so many guys that are just going to feel like it's, you know what, screw it, whatever, checkers or records, I'm going. while a lot of the championship drivers are going to be like, well, I don't want that. Can we not? And I'm going to try to make the race and not have that same mindset, but it's going to be so difficult to have that mindset when you're not running for points and you're just running for a win.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that isn't really as important, I don't think, just from running Wednesday night and kind of working with a couple different manufacturers, I don't think it's as big of a deal as it is for Cup that we've seen, but it's almost going to be like real life too. Are your Camaro guys going to link up, even though, they might not necessarily be teammates? Are, your Mustang, if they're, I don't even know if we actually have a Mustang team. I think we have one. But are your Mustang guys going to link up? Are your Super guys going to link up? Because I know, like, at one point, um, my team, the Flatline guys that we have for the B Series, linked up with Fireball Racing, which essentially is Flatline, just a satellite team. But, they're in Camaros and Flatline is in Supras. And I know we had linked up, obviously, like I said, just kind of for like the Flatline Alliance type thing. But, come the end of the race, that 9 times out of 10, I would say 99%, that's out the window. You know what I mean? You're going to ditch your quote unquote main team and work with your satellite team. So I'm sure the Fireball guys would work with each other. I'm sure the Flatline guys would work with each other. So it's kind of like, you know, not really damned if you do, damned if you don't, but like, kind of for instance, like you're running Supras too. So would we be able to link up better than say me, my team and the Fireball guys, or your team and the Fireball guys, or anybody that's running a Camaro really?
Yeah, and that's definitely going to be a huge question to play part in the next testing session. And that's one thing that me and my team was talking about because you're in our group chat, so you see what we talk about. And we've talked a lot about who we can hook up with that's not in a Supra that we could trust and see how things work and if they'll work the same way as like our teams have hooked up running all Supras in a line. And to be honest, like it's gonna be real difficult because I mean those Supras are real sleek and they've been fast. I mean they've been very very fast, and it's just gonna be real difficult to see who we can have work with us that's not in a Supra to potentially get us in the front.
Yeah, and it's actually not really necessarily funny, but I'll use the word funny. That each series has like a manufacturer that just seems to be not necessarily better at pushing, but like just seems to have the raw speed right now for speed weeks, or I guess you could call it a speed month, because the trucks. I mean, granted, I think there's a lot more Chevys than there is Toyotas anyway. Plus, only having two manufacturers kind of makes it tougher. But I think the Chevys really kind of shown, you know, now granted, iRacing there is, from what they say, there's no real performance enhancements or anything. It's basically kind of just sounds from what they say, but sound on the dashboard and stuff like that. But with that, like I said, I think the Chevy and trucks has kind of shown, you're going to have to get a full line of Toyotas to, beat a Chevy. I think for B car, it almost the same thing, but more so with the Supras. I think, like I said, Davey won with the Supra over Martin in the practice we did on Wednesday. Mustang, like I said, I don't think we have a lot of Mustang guys, if we even have any. So I think it's kind of just a two manufacturer race there. But then, like even in Cup, I think anybody can push a Ford, it seems, just about. Or I'm sorry, a Ford can push just about anybody, but it seems like nobody else can really draft together. Like you got to be like real. Almost, I'll just say this way: you almost have to baby it into pushing somebody. But like a Ford and a Ford can link up and like latch and just go. Like it's and funny enough, it reminds me of real life. Like I think it was last year or 2 years ago. You just saw all the Penske guys, and then the Wood Brothers car just kind of link up and they controlled the race. Like wherever they went, that's where the line was.
Oh yeah, and I've definitely noticed that too. And obviously, we're going to touch a little bit more on the Cup cars here in a little bit, but definitely, I mean, the Toyotas in the the Supras here in the B series, like, I mean, from that testing race that we ran, I mean, they seem to be very comfortable in the draft, like crazy comfortable. Because I mean, I've had a lot of guys kind of beating my bumper down. I was beating down a couple guys or a couple other guys' bumper, and Carr never really felt agitated until, obviously until there were seemingly other like the Chevys bumping me and stuff. Like, uh, I don't know how it felt for you, but it's as crazy as it was. Like, even in the B series, like the Camaros seemed like it was a little sketchy to be pushed by them as well. Like,
It,
not nearly as bad as it is like the Cup Camaro, but definitely it seemed a little sketchy, a tiny bit sketchy being pushed by the B.
yeah, it's going to be interesting to say the least. Real quick to kind of touch on a general stream topic. I know at one point we are up to 11 people watching, which to me is phenomenal. Just that we really didn't share it too much on Facebook or anything. It's kind of just been in the league discords and whatnot. So thank you guys for watching. Like I said earlier, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We'll stop jibber jabbering and answer your questions the best we can. But yeah, just it's we still have a week left to practice. I know, like you kind of said, we'll touch on the Cup stuff in a little bit as far as qualifying and the Clash and stuff like that. But um, I think we kind of got everything. One thing I did forget to do in the beginning, though, B Series runs on Wednesdays, 85% race lengths, and then 85% fuel loads to match. Once again, obviously with stages, we follow the real schedules in all three series. So with that, and I know you have the rosters in front of you. I have my 12. I will let you go first this time. Obviously, like I said, you have Daytona, you have all the regular season, a lot of road courses, which is kind of unique for the B Series, which also actually leads into this. I did a little test on the Indy road course for the layout that I believe they're going to use. It is not one of the toughest road courses. I would say I actually liked it. It is going to be interesting, though, racing it, because it is a little narrow for my liking as far as passing zones and stuff like that. But I think it will definitely be a good and interesting race. So there's that. But like I said, Daytona, regular season, all the road courses, which just adds to the wild cards. I mean, like I said, you got the sheet in front of you for the roster. Give me your 12, I guess, really out of the 17 for your chase.
Uh, my first name that comes to mind is Christian Snyder. He does let his emotions get to him a lot, but he does run real well. He really does, and he's skilled. He'll make the chase. Period, without a doubt. There's not. I don't really think there's anything that's going to keep him out of it, unless something in real life happens and he's not able to make a lot of the races. That's the only. And to me, that's the only thing that I think that's going to keep him out. Sean Briscoe is one. He's gonna make it. That kid can straight freaking drive. I mean, I've raced with him a lot, and he actually came over here with me from my dirt league that I started, or that I started up with a friend of mine. I think he's going to run real well. He's ran very well in every race that I've run him, or that I've run with him. So I think those two are definitely going to be ones to keep an eye on. Chad Angle is one. There's three for me. Dalton Tucker, Josh Schofield.
Sorry, I missed those couple. What'd you say? You had Briscoe.
I got Snyder, Briscoe, Chad Angle, Dalton Tucker, Josh Schofield, and a dog barking. Say Trey James. I think he could do it too. Craig Schroeder. I believe he will as well. Another one of my guys. So hopefully that'll get me two guys in. How many is that right?
That is 7.
8? 7. Todd Slauson. Josh Mayu. I'll go with Josh Thaxton, Jamison Miller. How many is that?
You got one more.
All right. Hopefully, I can light a fire under his ass with this one. Gonna go with Brian Niels. I think he's gonna shock us all and make his way into the chase because he's really improved a lot from racing last year, and from what I've noticed too, he's a lot like you. Like he's a lot better than what he gives himself credit for. Because I notice talking a lot with you, it's like, oh man, I suck. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do this, and then you turn around and do it anyway. Like that's how Brian's been, and he's just got some pretty bad luck right now. But as soon as that luck changes, watch out for him because I think he's gonna put some good runs together, and I think he will make the chase.
Yeah, this one, like I said, granted the road courses and stuff, it definitely going to be not tougher per se, but as far as a race aspect, I would say it's tougher. Probably one of our toughest schedules per se, just because of the road courses. Um, One of your picks, um, I knew as soon as it was the B series and I saw his name on the list, I was like, definitely putting him down, just because, like I said, our Watkins Glen recruitment race we ran,
Oh yeah,
besides the dude that just was absolutely on a blistering pace. I had no idea how, but we would have been battling for the win if it was a league race, just because of like who was in there. But like you said, Sean Briscoe. I mean, I hadn't raced him on a road course up until that point. He joined kind of late, I think, maybe like 15 minutes left in practice or whatnot. I timed second, I believe, or maybe pole, because I think that guy that won started in the back. And Briscoe, I think, was like third or fourth, maybe. And stayed right with me. I mean, a couple of times I kind of waited up, just to kind of race, because I mean it was testing. I didn't want to run by myself and not really learn anything. So I would wait up, and we would battle and whatnot. And I mean, I sent you the finish of our race. If I got stuck in third or second gear, but it was even that finish was half a car. So it was kind of like, man, this dude can wheel. And like I said, I hadn't run a road race with him. And it was kind of almost surprising. Like, hmm, this is interesting.
oh yeah, and I mean, I'm not trying to inflate his ego here, but without a doubt, Briscoe is one of the best drivers I've ever run with. And every single race that I've run in with him, he's been very fast. Um, he was one of the guys last year at ISM that I was battling with for the top 10, and he ran top 10 the entire damn race. Uh, Running dirt with him, been fast, period. He's definitely one of those guys to where uh, it seems like no matter what you put him in, he's going to find a way to get up near the front. And just seeing the kind of driver he is and talking with him a lot in our team chat and everything, like he's a great guy. Amazing person to talk to, and without a doubt, like he's definitely got to be put on people's radars for winning a championship this year because that guy can straight wheel.
Oh yeah, and like I said, just granted, I don't know, because there's a couple new guys in this series too, so I don't know really how they are on the road side. But like I said, they had, I believe it was 3 or 4 road races already. So now you add Indy into the picture. You're almost not necessarily begging for say, but you're almost reaching out like, all right, come on, here's another shot for somebody besides maybe a Dalton Tucker or a Snyder or one of your guys you expect to run up front every week to kind of fly under the radar for that week and give somebody else like I said, like a Briscoe or a Trey James. I know he's new, but still runs in another league that our broadcaster still does. But Josh Thaxton, he's new, but I've heard nothing but good things about him and how fast he is. I think, like I said, just adding Indy, especially now, road course is gonna make it that much more interesting. Um, so we got your 12, my 12. I think we matched for the most part a little bit. I think there's actually looking at it, I think there's only one or two we have different, believe it or not. We both had Dalton Tucker, Trey James, Jamison. Uh, One you missed that I have is Matthew George. Both had Snyder, both had Thaxton, both had Slauson, Briscoe, Mayu, Chad, Schofield, and then another one that I had too in place of Niels, I believe. Yes. So in place of Niels, I had Corey Wharton, which again, just hearing, not really hearing, but kind of studying and watching and just hearing certain things from different guys, he could be one to kind of sneak in. Because like I said, he could be, one of them ringers on the road course. You know what I mean? It's There's a lot more question marks to the B series.
Oh God, yeah. And I've heard a lot about Corey Wharton too from discords about the kind of driver he is too. I mean, I haven't seen him race either. Never raced with him, so I don't know how he is. But from what I've heard about him is, he could be right up there in the road courses, either just completely running away with it, or he's gonna be beating off your bumper to make sure that you're kind of getting off the corner a little bit, so he can steal the win from you. I mean, from what I hear, he's going to be right there at every road course.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And then just kind of moving forward, I know we do have one person wanting to chat. I think he kind of forgot that I had invited him to come chat, but it's actually perfect timing because we're on his series anyway. But actually, I'm drawing a blank here. Is who? Oh, never mind. I'm good. Okay. So I did my 12. So looking at the first round of the chase for the B series, what we call it, but the Xfinity series in real life, they little bit not really an easier schedule. Um, I would say round two definitely easier, but round one I think still they actually start at Bristol as opposed to Gateway for the trucks. I think the trucks are the only series that runs Gateway, so they actually start at Bristol and then go to Vegas, and then just like the Cup Series will, they actually run the Roval at Charlotte. So you go Bristol, Vegas, Roval, and then with that being said, um, maybe a little team biased, but I know the guy is just he's a wheel, kind of like you said with Briscoe. I actually have Dalton Tucker, and I will say this one with a little bit of confidence. I have him as my one seed for the first round and for the second round. I think he gets a win definitely in the regular season. I think he wins either Bristol or Vegas in the first round and locks in. And then the rest are just kind of thrown in, no real rankings. But Matthew George, Christian Snyder, Josh Thaxton, Briscoe, Mayu, Jameson Miller, and Trey James would be my 8 advancing from those 3 races. I think, granted, we had said the truck might be our toughest series because of how many people are running, but I think really as far as just talent and skill on the sim, after the first round, it is anybody's game as far as who can get in.
Oh yeah, and there's so much talent in the B series. It's like we got former champion Christian Snyder, Sean Briscoe, he can wheel it, Slauson can wheel it, Mayu, Chad Engel. I mean, these guys can flat out drive, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the chase because I mean, like I said, there's so many road courses. It's Oh man, it's really gonna feel like it's gonna play into the hand of quite a few of these guys a little bit more, uh, like uh, like the Briscoe and the Angle and uh, like Dalton Tucker and Schofield. I think it's gonna play a little bit more into their hands too, with going to the Roval, and uh, I can't remember what other road courses in there either. But
For the Chase, it's only the Roval.
I just the Roval. All
Yeah.
right, that's what I. Yeah, it's. I definitely feel like the Roval is really going to be a huge wild card for this chase, and for my 8, Briscoe, Snyder, Mayu, Engel, Dalton, Schofield, James. I think makes 7.
I have Briscoe, Snyder, Mayu, Engel, Tucker. I forget who you said after Dalton.
Trey James
Trey would be 6.
and Josh Schofield.
That would be 7.
And I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Mayu.
You have him.
Oh, I already. Oh shit. Um, go with that.
So it seems like for the most part, we kind of agree somewhat. So we both have Briscoe, both have Snyder, both have Mayu. You have Chad, which I do not. We both have Tucker. We both have Trey, and then you have Schofield, and we both have Thaxton. So I think 6 out of the 8, we both kind of agree on. But the big thing about round 1, which is kind of the only reason I didn't pick, 1 or 2 guys, was just because of the Roval. And I'm just thinking back to last season, who kind of struggled there, and who kind of surprised me in a way, kind of excelled a little bit. Um, Especially with it being a cutoff race and just looking at Bristol. I mean, chances are it's gonna be close to a full field just because it's Bristol. It's late in the season. Guys aren't really, it's not summertime, so guys aren't really going out, to the beach or whatever. So guys are probably gonna be home. You're gonna have obviously your chase guys running, so you're guaranteed, at least 12. Um, but like I said, it's just being Bristol. It's a popular track, whatnot. But if just knock on wood, if something happens and we do have a full field, you're looking at potentially a 4-point night, 5-point night, to where some of your chase guys 32, 33, 34. So right there, just one race, you could go from being tied, say for the cutoff, to now you're already 30 points back.
Oh God, yeah, and I think that's what's going to be so interesting about just that first cutoff there, because it's like you said. I mean, there's so many of these guys here that can wheel it like crazy, but with Bristol being in there and so much uncertainty with Bristol, because it's like you said, it's going to be there near the end of summer. People aren't going to be wanting to be out going to ball games or something, or you got kids getting ready to start school, and you could end up having a full race. So you got your 12 chasers that are guaranteed, they're most likely going to be there no matter what. But then you throw in another 20 some guys on top of it. Like you said, I mean, you could easily be going, you're 20 points to the good, and next thing you know, you're 15 points to the bad.
Yeah,
Just one little incident could completely screw your chase up, and it wouldn't even be your fault, because Bristol is just one of those racetracks to where one little incident from anybody, and it's such a fast track with such little room for error. You're
yeah. Well, real quick, on the YouTube side, Steerman, JJ, Jake, and Christian. I don't know if you guys are still watching. I know our number kind of dipped, but thank you for this, the subs on YouTube. I appreciate it. This is obviously gonna be our league YouTube from now on, so any podcast and such stuff like that will be on here. But yeah, but even like with Bristol too, one main thing I some guys I don't think really understand though is pit road, because granted, we don't have the rule because we tried it last year and it kind of backfired a little bit. Guys got black flags and whatnot, but you don't have to go down both sides. But it will be extremely costly if you go down the wrong side, especially under green. You know, guys are moving around there. I forget what the times actually are, but you could lose. I think last year we were losing like 3 laps almost under a green flag pit stop. So you figure if you get on the wrong side, you could potentially almost double that.
Oh yeah, and I've definitely made that mistake before because you're just plugging away and chipping away at laps, lap after lap after lap after lap, and then next thing you know, you need a green flag stop. You can easily lose track of where you're at because it's Bristol. Like the whole track looks the exact same no matter what. Because I know there's, just in case there are people that aren't watching that might not know Bristol. Bristol that's seated the entire way around. It's like a football stadium, and
Mm-hmm.
you got your pit roads on both sides of the stretch, on the front and back stretch. They look the exact same. The only difference is one side has the flag stand. Well, when you're going that fast and you're just plugging away, you're in a zone. You're not really paying attention to, well, 100%. Okay, well, there's a flag stand, there's the flag stand, there's the flag stand with every lap. You're just going. And then with the green flag stops, hell, even real life NASCAR drivers make that mistake. I mean, I can't remember who made that mistake in the Cup Series last year, but his pit box was on the front stretch and he tried to pit in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it happens. So I would not doubt to see that play a huge part in this either, because it's so easy to get confused at that.
Right. Which, like I said, it's kind of why I didn't pick certain people. Not really, I won't say certain people, but didn't pick, guys that you might expect to make it. Just because of that reason. Bristol, like I said, we might get a full field again because of the timing and whatnot, and then just all that. Then plus, like I said, something as minor as pit road, or a lane change penalty, or even another pit road, too many box penalty, not getting back to the right, penalty, some type of penalty that might hinder your point night, and just going to the Roval, probably one of the toughest races of the round, arguably. We have the same rule to where if you cut the chicane or miss it, you have to come to a complete stop. You have to hit zero. You can't. So I know some guys last year would cut and they would hit one and they got a penalty and they're like, oh well, I stopped. No, here's the proof you were still rolling. You got to come to a complete stop. So I mean, there's that you got to think about. So it's just at that point you're almost a must win. But even then though, being it's a road course in the Roval, it is very easy to make a mistake and kind of throw it all away.
Oh yeah, and I know there's like so many guys out there, like you said, would cut a chicane and stuff like that, and get down to 1 mile an hour, and a lot of people, would say like, well, how can you even tell they're at 1 mile an hour? Well, it's because we've got admins that are watching. They're going to see who's going to cut, and we're not going to take too kindly to the California stops. I mean, I know a lot of leagues and stuff like that, like they'll kind of be a little bit more relaxed on that. But it's like, you know what? We've already had uh, potential issues before with some potential loopholes and stuff like that, and it's like, no, like I go by the same rules. Josh Conover goes by the same rules. So does Keegan Bitzer, Coy Pennington, Josh Stearman. Everybody's got the same rules. So 0 miles per hour means 0 miles per hour, not half a mile an hour, 1 mile an hour, 5 miles an hour, whatever. Come to a complete stop. And it's like, I think that's going to be a big thing that could play a role in it too. Because I mean, at the Roval, it's not like, I mean, it's a very new road course. I mean, NASCAR has only been running it for 2 years now, so it's not like it's a track that a lot of us know very well, like the Glen or Sonoma. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna make a mistake, and
Yeah.
if you make a mistake, it could cost you huge.
Oh yeah. And hopefully at that point, I mean, I know Chad obviously is going for a B title, so he won't be running, but so we would have four potential admins potentially watching that. I know myself, obviously Jake, Brian, and you. Um, but it all depends too. We haven't touched on Cup yet, but if you and Brian are in the chase for Cup still, you couldn't run this race anyway because you're still in the chase. So, it we might not be able to catch something live because I know like last year we had to watch the replay numerous times just to try and double check stuff and hand stuff out post race. But even then, post race is still a penalty. So, um, but with that, we'll move on because like I said, do have somebody waiting to try and talk with us real quick. But probably one of well, in my opinion, the easiest round of races we've seen so far between trucks and B because we haven't looked at Cup yet. But for the round of 8, you would do Kansas, Texas, and then something new again of the B Series. They added the Indy Road Course, but a chase race, and of all places, Martinsville for the cutoff. So just like trucks, you're going to Martinsville for the cutoff. So with that, like I said, Kansas, Texas, Martinsville. My final four that I had, again, I think from what I've seen last year when he ran, he just dominated, kind of like Ethan and Burchett did, like I was talking about. But um, Dalton Tucker, I think he wins either Kansas or Texas. He's every league that I've been in with him, which was obviously mine, and then another one before. He was dominant at Texas. Kansas, I wouldn't imagine would be much different. Maybe not a win, but maybe a top 5, obviously. So I see him getting through no problem. I have Thaxton advancing. I have your guy Briscoe, just because maybe not so much Kansas or Texas, but I know running Martinsville with him, he was right up there with me at Martinsville. He kept his nose clean, and even when he did get bumped or got moved or he moved somebody or something, it wasn't like it was full send, full yeet, and put him in the fence. It was kind of just enough to get his nose in, and he was on his way. So I think Briscoe gets in, and then I have another new guy, just like Thaxton, Trey James getting in as well. I think those four going into Phoenix would be a heck of a Final Four. And then just to kind of keep it moving, my champion, again, you kind of touched on Briscoe, but obviously Thaxton and Trey, we don't know how they are at ISM. Oh, sorry, Phoenix. Um, but just going off last year's race in the trucks, Dalton ran, and like I said, he was up there with Susie all night. I think he actually ended up winning. So Dalton would actually be my champion. And again, though, even say what you want about competition, this and that, but even with the different players and factors and whatnot, I still think it will take a win to win this championship.
Oh yeah, it's with the 8 drivers that we have, even though we've got a few separate that are, that we don't agree on. Uh, the level of talent there is just going to be too insane. And with the final chase races, I don't think that between the 8 drivers that we did pick, there will not be a chase race in which one of them did not win it, if not multiple. So I do completely agree that if we're going to have a champion crown, well, when we have a champion crowned at Phoenix, they're going to have to win it. Because I don't see anybody else that's going to run the B series that could knock off one of these chase guys, because the level of talent is just too high. And now for my final four, I think Briscoe, without a doubt, just like we've said, he's too damn good. He always runs with a level head on his shoulders, runs real clean all the time. Trey James, he's always run well. Thaxton's always run real well. So I think that's 3 of my 4. God, I can't even remember who the other 5 I have left.
So with Briscoe, Trey, and Thaxton going on, you would have Snyder, Mayu, Engel, Tucker, Schofield. Actually, that's it. So you'd have Snyder, Mayu, Engel, Tucker, and Schofield battling for your final spot.
I'm going to go with Tucker as well. he's fast as hell, no doubt about it. And for a champion, I think I agree with you. Dalton Tucker's like seeing him at Phoenix last season, like he went lap for lap with Susie. They were trading spots all over the place. They were very damn fast. And Tucker, like, if something does not happen to him at Phoenix, he's gonna win it.
It's actually the first time I think we've agreed fully. Like I said, I think we've had one or two different most of the time. That's the first time we've agreed fully, and we even picked the same champion. So that'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. Actually, no, we picked the same champion for trucks too. We picked Susie. So I think now that that's done, though, we'll get ready to pull up our guest. But um, I think with that too, though, a lot of it comes with just respect, not so much just for your competition, but for yourself too. I know a lot of these guys came. I brought them over from another league. Oh wow, another league that we used to run in um, before. Um, and I know, like for instance, Dalton, Susie, Snyder, myself, Mayu, Engel, Matthew George. I know there's more. I'm trying to think of who else. If I'm missing you, I apologize. But we all ran that league, so we're all comfortable around each other, which is what I try and tell a lot of the newer guys too. Or Scotty Brown's another one too. A lot of guys think Scotty's too hard to run around. Oh, he pinches me too hard. He gives me no room. Yeah, which you're not used to that. So to you, it's gonna be, and I'll use this word just because it's kind of fits, dickish. Oh, he's pinching me. He no room, lap, whatever. That's how he runs, though. Granted, I know that. Christian would know that. All the guys inside the league know that, and you not necessarily don't know that yet. So it might be weird for you. But throughout the season, like if you're passing Scotty or he's passing you, he's gonna run you hard. He's gonna make you earn it. He's not just gonna pull over and say, "Oh yeah, you can have this spot." You know what I mean? You're gonna have to earn it. Which, like I said, it's just I think it's like you were talking about the Susie and Dalton battle at which was then ISM, the chase last year. I think it's just a respect thing too because they've run so many races together. They know they can run each other hard and they're not going to touch. Or if they do, it's not on purpose. It's going to be clean. It's going to be hard racing, and it's going to put on a show. And it did. They got together one time. Um, I think Dalton overshot the bottom. I think going into the three, and they got together or whatnot, and they all checked up or whatever. But they all went. They got it sorted out, and the race went on. So I mean, I think that's a big thing. Hopefully, we'll see just growth from everybody. It's just the respect and learning how your opponents drive.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And to touch on a little bit of what you were saying uh, about Scott, I mean, seeing him drive and the races that I've run with him, like just try like even the times that I've tried to pass him, even as a lapped car, like if he got caught up into some BS or something and ended up going a couple laps down because of it, like just trying to pass him, like it was like trying to pass Ryan Newman on the track. Like he's not just gonna give it up. Period. Even if he is a couple laps down, because he's like, you know what? No, if you're gonna pass me, you're gonna earn that damn thing.
And like my thing is always, and it's just how I was brought up. Even if you're lapped, you're still in a race, and especially more so asphalt than dirt. But you know, granted, it's probably isn't. I'll say polite. That's not the right word, but it's not polite to race the leaders hard. But granted, you're also fighting to potentially win the race still at that point because if God forbid a caution comes out, 2 laps from now, and you fight your behind off and you're the first car lap down, boom, you're on the lead lap again. Whereas you say, oh, you can just go ahead by, and in 2 laps, you're letting all the leaders pass you, and then the leader comes up and passes another car. Well, now your whole race is pretty much, unless you get another yellow, obviously, your race is pretty much doomed because now you're caught a lap down. So I mean, it's which, like I said, we'll pull this guy up now so we can kind of get his view and whatnot. But Joining us, if he is here, I know he was kind of waiting a little bit, our previous truck champion, now going for a B Series title, Christian Snyder. Christian, do you have us?
Yeah, have you?
Well, we just kind of were sort of gave our chase predictions and whatnot, and kind of just talking about, I guess you could say, racing etiquette and kind of how certain guys run. But we're talking about most recently like lappers and still kind of racing hard. And one of the guys that I had brought up was Scotty. How no matter where he's at, if he's got damage, if he is completely clean, he will always run you hard. And I had also pointed out that he'll run you hard too. But I guess for starters, I guess give us your opinion kind of just on racing as a whole. Like if you're a lapper, you're gonna race hard. Because another thing I brought up too was like you're still racing to potentially be a lucky dog.
Yeah, it depends on who you're racing. You gotta kind of know who you're racing against. So if you're a lap down and the person behind you, uh, if you have respect for them, let them by. But like I always say, race how you want to be raced. So um, if you let them by, you're going to expect that back whenever you're in the same position. Um, did I get that treatment multiple times? Yeah, but I remember that. I remember that stuff. Whenever people don't let me by, that sticks in drivers' minds. So when people let me by, I let them by next time. That's kind of how racing goes for me.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, myself, you, Susie, I think Jameson was there for a little bit. Dalton, we've all run together before, with ECR, and kind of know, like I said, just Scotty was the main one that came to mind. That Scotty will run you hard, and just like we don't run with him anymore, but Ed Adams, you know,
Mhm.
even if you're lapping him, you're gonna have to earn it. He's not just gonna pull over and say, "Oh, here you go." If that green light's on, he's gonna race you as hard as he can.
Yeah. With Scotty, I've built a good relationship with him. We're good friends, so I feel like he would let by, but yeah, other people he ain't letting you by. Um, Being that I'm his teammate, he would let me by. I'm sure. I would hope, but yeah, he definitely. That's kind of what I like about him too. He doesn't give up. Um, if he's still laps down, he's still out there pushing as hard as he can, trying to finish the race, and I give him credit for that all the time.
Corey, do you have anything real quick for my next question?
Uh, Not really. All I can say is, from the times I've run with you, Christian, you're one hell of a competitor out there, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the B Series this year, and just hearing what you have to say about your other competitors definitely shows that you've got a lot of respect for guys out there too, and it's going to be fun to watch everything that happens this year.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens this season. I'm going into it like I went in last season. I'm not expecting anything great. Um, I mean, I went into last season just expecting to have fun, and I came out a champion. And this season, I want to go into it with the same mindset. I just want to go in having fun, and whatever happens, happens.
One thing we kind of touched on in the beginning, we haven't really touched on the cup stuff yet, just because we're kind of going through each series. But one of the things like I said, we brought up was kind of just like how you see in real life, like with Penske and then the Wood Brothers car. Um, um, just how like the different teams and stuff work and manufacture and stuff like that. Um, do you see that kind of happening here too? Because I know, like I said, more so with the Cup cars, which we haven't really touched on, but I think even with the B Series cars, you tend to see the Supras kind of hook up a little bit better than together, and then the Camaros obviously together. But do you kind of see the same thing playing out here? More so, at least in the beginning of the race, you might put your team stuff aside and kind of say, oh well, he's a Supra, I'm a Supra, let's hook up and try and get to the front, or just kind of ride in the back too.
I think it's partially that. I think for the most part, it's who's driving the car. Um, a lot of people in this league are close with each other, even though we're on different teams. So if we see our friend out there, even though they're on another team or in even another manufacturer, um, we're gonna work together. So I don't know if necessarily the manufacturer aspect is there, but I know the team aspect is definitely there. I know it was there in the Clash. A lot of teams were hooked up, and I loved that. I love seeing that. So I can't wait to see what that aspect is the entire season now with the teams being so important this season.
That's actually kind of a thing too we had touched on, sort of, kind of, just because we started obviously with trucks, now we're on the B. But I mean, you look at the amount of guys going for a championship in each series. Trucks. We obviously start 32 just like in real life. B, we actually didn't know. I know they changed it, but we couldn't remember the number. Is it 38 or 36 now for B? Do you know?
I believe 36. So it's
Okay.
32, 36, and then 40.
Okay, so we were off by 2 because I thought it was 38 still. But even then, we have, as of right now, 17 guys going for a B title. So again, one of the things I had asked Corey was, potentially for the trucks, if everybody shows up, you won't have anybody, owners points wise, making the race just because you have that many guys going for a truck title. So, it might change a little bit how, we approach the truck races, but, you turn around and look at the B, you got a little, well, no, it'd be a little over 10 or so spots, I think, for owners guys to get in. So, I mean, I guess I'll ask your point of view for that, because obviously, we're going for different championships than you, but, looking, I guess we'll say at the truck series, potentially having that many guys running and maybe not racing, and then running the B series where it's kind of like, well, we have both championship guys and owners points guys mixing it up. Does that change, I guess, how you approach, say, a race like Daytona or even the following weeks like Atlanta, Vegas, stuff like that? Or you kind of just, get what you can, find my team, especially for Daytona, find my teammates and just roll with the punches?
Um, I'm not going to quite give away the strategy for Daytona since that's coming up. But as far as the owners points guys go, I mean, if they finish ahead of me, I'm not worried about it. The main thing I'm going to focus on is the other guys that are in my series. So I don't really think that they'll affect me. It's just I want to finish higher than the other guys that are in my series. So I think that's going to be the main focus. And I don't think I'll race any different other than just paying more attention to who is in my series. That's the only thing I'll pay attention to. I'm still going to race the same.
I think it's kind of the same thing we had kind of mentioned. I mean, we almost kind of said it too. Just as far as like the numbers go, you would think it would almost be reversed. We'd have, like say 17 trucks and, maybe 30 B and like 36 cup. But just like as far as like the number aspect, I am just astonished at how many truck guys we have. But even like I said, we just did, our kind of like our playoff predictions, and we're sitting here like looking at the names, looking at the schedules, and it's like, man, no matter which way you put it, it's going to be challenging. And one thing I know, me and you did it actually the same day, but we were talking about the Indy Road course now being added and just adding that next, I guess we'll call it what it is, wild card. I mean, besides obviously Daytona, where do you think you're going to make the most noise for, say, as far as maybe solidifying yourself as, not necessarily a reigning, B Series champion, but, another champion kind of putting your stamp on it and being like, I won the truck one last year. I'm here to go 2 for 2 and grab this B Series one this year.
I'm hoping Phoenix. I'm hoping I go into Phoenix as the number 1 seed and I'm favored to win. But obviously, you can't know what's going to happen. So I would say races that I have bookmarked are like the 1.5 miles. So I feel like that's my strong suit. So I think that's where I can show that, hey, I'm still going to compete. I'm still going to compete at that level I was competing last year, and I'm here for a championship.
Right on, man. About 1 or 2 questions, then we'll move on, just so kind of we can keep moving. We're getting a little long, but I'm not sure if you know the exact roster, but just looking at the testing race the other night, you can kind of quickly sort of see who's competing for a title with you. Who would you think would be your biggest competition or maybe threat to kind of keep you from getting that title at Phoenix?
It's a pretty easy one. Dalton Tucker is going to be probably the toughest. I've raced with him a long time, been teammates with him before. He's very tough to beat, and it's going to be real tough to beat him at Phoenix.
I think that was another thing too we had touched on. Just he didn't run every week, but when he did, he was tough. And then especially we were talking about Phoenix, how him and Susie just kind of owned the show for the most part until the very end. Donald got out there and kind of showed his stuff, but it's going to be fun to watch. I know Corey and I have said it about both series so far. It's as of right now, there's no real solid pick to where it's like, oh, he's running. Yeah, we're putting him down as a champion already. I mean, obviously we made our predictions, but at the end of the day, it's all they are is predictions, and you got a long season to sway those predictions.
Yeah.
Corey, do you have anything before we let him go?
Oh no, I completely agree with you guys, and it's obviously with everything that Christian said, if obviously he's gonna pick himself to be up there racing for a championship, because in all honesty, if you're not going to pick yourself to be up there racing for a championship, especially when he's seen that he can do it, because hell, he did it last year, so why can't he do it this year? And you're going to, he's going to have that confidence, and you need to have that confidence, because if you don't, why the hell are you doing this then? So, I completely agree with everything Christian said, and, for all we know, maybe some shit could happen, and next thing you know, Christian is the number one seed going into Phoenix. You know what? Cool, works for me, because that'll make for one hell of a championship race to watch.
Yeah, and actually, real quick, because it'll be most likely the first thing we touch on for the Cup Series. Just kind of a brief recap. Cup is 75% races, 75% fuel, run on Thursday nights. Last night we had just had our inaugural Clash event, along with, I guess you can call it, we call it 375 because that's how long our race is mileage-wise, but 375 pole qualifying for the duels. And I guess while we have you, Christian, I can start it off with this. You led 3 laps, you're leading, come to the checkered, your teammate pulls out a line, and all mayhem ensues behind you. I guess take us through, I guess, the last couple laps that lead up to that.
I mean, me and Justin, we worked our strategy to nearly perfection. It's like I told him, our strategy worked for 55.75 laps, and then it kind of went downhill coming out of 4. We just stayed in the back, kept it clean all race, and then we timed it perfect to get out front. But coming out of 4, Justin jumped high, thinking that he could block the run, and left me out to dry. And like you said, mayhem ensued, and it's like I described it. 100 feet away from the finish line, I was in the lead. 10 feet away, I was in the catch fence in 5th. So it was not a good night for me.
Yeah, I have the picture of the finish pulled up on the stream now. Safe to say, I think a lot of cars are glad this was not the 500 cars, so that way we don't have to give up our qualifying spots. But I think I was running 7th or so at the time, because I think, what was it, coming to the white, I think? Me and you got together, we kind of just stuck together and touched, and I went for a trip cut in the grass, and I don't know how I didn't kill myself, but I was just starting to get caught up, and then, like I said, I kind of saw it start to happen, and then next thing I know, I'm getting flipped across the line too, but it was, like I said, I know I'm glad it's not the 500 car, because I would have been highly upset to have to give up, a good starting spot, but it was, all in all, I think it was a decent race. I know, Corey, you weren't in it because you missed out on the eligibility from last year, but Well, it wasn't actually broadcasted. Should be going up tonight though. But I guess I'll stay with Christian now. I mean, what was your overall opinion of the race? I mean, I know it was technically our first real race as far as the new season and kind of getting most of the guys we've obviously run with before, but as far as like I said, the new season, new series basically with Cup, and just I guess like I said, what was your full thoughts really?
Well, if I could describe it in one word, I would say windy. Um, but if I had to describe it fully, it would be it was a great race. The cars were pretty hard to handle, which made it fun. Um, and yeah, a lot of people impressed me. Couple people didn't impress me, but that, we'll keep that behind closed doors. There were a few mistakes that people made, but it's preseason. It's the Clash. It wasn't for points. I know my teammate Bruce and Scotty got into an accident while they were leading, same as me and Justin. So I think our team showed that we were pretty strong. All three of my drivers are running for points. I'm the only one going for owners points. So the fact that all three of them were in the lead at a point or another impressed me. It was just miscommunication between Scotty and Bruce that caused the accident. And yeah, it was a great race for Outlaw Racing last night. Just the finish wasn't great.
Yeah, like I said, I still have the finish up on the screen.
I see it. I don't want to look at it, but I see it.
All you see is Bland up in the air, pulling his, I guess you could say, Austin Dillon impression, or Kyle Larson for that matter.
Yeah.
And then, like you said too, you all led at one point. I mean, I'm looking at the results from last night. Jesus. The dominant car, it seems I guess you could say all month really since we've been here with the Cup cars, has been Thomas Gould. I mean, the previous B Series champion going for Cup moved up kind of just like you did. He led 42 laps. Bland would be second with 6. Scotty led 5, and you were 3. So, I mean, like you said, it was a great showing by you and your guys. I mean, you guys really kind of showed, Thomas, like, hey, you want this. I mean, we'll just say 500 for the purpose, but you want this 500 win, you're gonna have to go through Outlaw Racing, and we're gonna put up a fight. And it, granted, I wasn't in the main pack the whole time, but just kind of sitting back and like watching it all unfold, it looked, like it was a blast. It looked like it was respectful. I know obviously there's a couple mistakes here and there, but like I said too, it's really realistically it was our first time back on track in a racing situation, so you're going to have those few bugs. But like I said, I mean, it looking at the results and whatnot, I think it's going to be tough in a way to kind of knock off. At this point, I would say, like I said, Gould, and then right now I think Outlaw has to be, the second pick to grab the checkered.
Yeah, I all three of my guys are up there as far as talent, and I think all three of them are going to win multiple races this season. I have faith in them to do that. So, and it's not like if they don't, then I'm going to be disappointed, but I just have that faith in them that they can win. I got a great bunch.
And then one thing you did mention too was the weather, which I know it was the same, in our clash as it was for the qualifying after.
Yeah.
Corey and I kind of touched on it, I think, for the B and the truck. It wasn't as bad, but I know just from where I was at, it seemed, which obviously it's kind of, I think it's the main reason why we got together on the backstretch, but
yeah,
it seemed like as soon as somebody would get close to me, I don't think I was moving my wheel at all, but like the whole car just kind of wanted to move left or right. Were you getting that same effect?
Oh yeah, our entire team was complaining about it. Even when we were in practice, Bruce was swearing up a storm, yelling. He was like, I cannot control this car down the straightaway. I don't understand it. And then he looked at the wind. He was like, okay, it's 22 mile per hour wind. No wonder I can't control it. But yeah, we didn't really see the true effect of it until we got into qualifying. Going down the front stretch, we were going about 179 going into turn 1. And then on the backstretch going into turn 3, I was up to 185. So that's how strong the winds were pushing down the backstretch. So that's why the cars were getting so out of shape on the backstretch.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I said it. I think actually to Corey, or I think I was just saying it really to everybody. It literally almost felt like you were losing a motor down the front stretch. Like it just.
Yeah.
You'd come off of 4, and then like you said, that wind would hit you, and it's kind of just like you can just watch your RPMs just kind of start dropping just because it couldn't handle it.
Yep. It feels like someone threw an anchor out the window and you just started slowing down.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, without a doubt. And like, you know, I ran like complete garbage in my qualifying session, and like I definitely noticed that too, because like in the few qualifying runs I ran in practice, like I was right on par with the pole guys, and you know, going down the backstretch, I got it to about 188 going into 3. And then as soon as I went around turn 4, as soon as I hit 4, the back ended one to start swinging out a little bit because that wind hits you so damn hard. And then it's like you're hitting a damn wall because your car just suddenly slows down so fast.
Yeah, it's hopefully the duels are better weather, which we'll kind of be able to see, next week, especially with the trucks and the B sessions before that, what it's like. But I know, like I told you, Corey, before we went live, that wind that was down there had already come up to here because I'm, hearing the trees against my window just going nuts. So hopefully, knock on wood, there's no hurricanes or anything, and, we can have a nice calm wind and, get some pushing. But no, like I said, because like we dropped to the back, especially for like the first stage of the clash, and like I said, I think I had multiple guys behind me. I think Brian at one point, Jake was behind me. I had Chad, I think, and every time they'd even just get remotely close to me, it's like the air would just get sucked off, like my spoiler, I guess, and just the whole car started to move. I was like, this is gonna be tough. And it's like you said too, Christian. It's like if you jumped out of line, like without any help, it's like you just threw an anchor. Like you needed a lot more cars, I think, last night than normal.
Yeah, that's what happened when Justin really pulled out coming out of turn 4. Whenever he left my back bumper, it felt like I dead stopped, and that's why everyone just shot around me, and that's why it stacked up and went 4 wide, and that's why that big wreck happened. So, I yelled at Justin a little bit after the race, but we strategized, and we're not gonna do that for the duels or the 500. We know what we're gonna do. And yeah, he didn't know that how big these spoilers were and how much of a parachute they were.
Yeah, that was like I said. Hopefully, Florida plays nice with us and we don't have massive winds or anything. But
yeah,
moving forward too. Speaking of the duels, actually, I'll put those up right now. You can't really see the green. That's kind of a bad idea. But just talking about your team and whatnot. You timed at the end of qualifying when it was all said and done. You were 14th on the charts, so that'll put you 7th in Duel 2. As of right now, we have 41 people registered, but there's I think 3 people that need to actually get a ride. So obviously, if they don't get a ride, they can't run. So that'll put us below the 40. But we could potentially be sending one guy home if everybody else that's going for a title runs. We'll send more home, obviously, but right now the guy going home would be from Duel 1, so we're good. But like you said, though, just the whole teammate thing, just in your duel, you'll have Bruce lining up, right behind you. You'll start 7th, he'll be 9th, and then even Scotty will be on the bottom in 13th. So it's, I mean, I know you don't want to give away the strategy, but I mean, being, we changed it with stages and just the race length and whatnot in general. I mean, is it going to be important? I guess I'll ask a general question, not so much team, but do you think it'll be as important to kind of start up front, or do you think it's kind of just, wherever you're at, you'll kind of be okay regardless, I guess?
I would say for Daytona, it's not important to start up front. For other tracks, I would say it's important, but it's too hectic up front. I mean, as some of our viewers will see in the broadcast tonight of the clash, everyone dropped off the backstretch and went to the back pretty much on lap 1. So everyone wants to be safe at plate tracks in the early going, and that's the smartest strategy. And stage points matter, but there's 26 races, so 3 plate races are not going to be what makes or breaks you. So, and that's what I talk to my drivers about. So, I'm sure we'll plan it and see what happens. But if I'm safe and I don't need to win to get in, then we'll strategize around that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, right now, I think I was kind of doing the math earlier with Corey. I think we still have, I want to say like 5 to 10 championship guys that didn't, set a time that, all they have to do is say, hey, put me in the back of a duel and, they'll be in obviously. But, like I said, just as of right now, would have 21 in duel 1 and 20 in our duel, which would be duel 2. So we would send the one guy home from duel 1. But, it almost, I don't want to say it lessens the importance, but kind of like I was just saying, and Corey, you can kind of chime in here in a second, but it almost lightens the load, I guess, in my opinion, as far as having the stages now and just the longer race. Like kind of like you said too, the front just seems to be just hectic. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
especially if it's going to be windy.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, Corey, how do you feel? I mean, I know you're scheduled to roll off 18th in the first duel. I mean, I mean, we kind of talked before we went live, but I mean, what do you think is going to be important? Try and get to the front, start up front, or what do you mean, or what do you think?
For me, in all honesty, my strategy. I mean, I'm already locked into the 500 either way. So my strategy, like, as much as I'd love to at least kind of put my name on everybody's radar by winning the duel, it's not that important to me. It's just a damn duel. Like, yeah, it's a win at Daytona. Everybody wants to win at Daytona. But I have a driver in my duel that is not locked in. I want to make sure his ass is in. So I'm going to be trying to work with him to get him far enough up to where he's in front of all these other go homers. So that way, in case those 5 other championship drivers do say, hey, I want in, my number 21 car is safe. Brian Niels will be safe. He's in, locked in, sold. Like, that's my priority as team owner. As a driver, I also want to say to hell with him. I'm going to go do what I have to do. But being the fact that I'm locked in and I've already got my strategy with Josh Stearman planned out for the 500, obviously don't want to give out too much, but I've got my strategy going with him to make sure that we're at where we need to be come time for the end of the race. So all I can say is for my duel, I'm just going to do everything in my power to make sure Brian's good. I want to make sure that he's in and he's running.
All right. Well, Christian, I think that's about it as far as what we need from you.
All
um,
right.
I'll let you do a shout out real quick, your team, anybody you want to thank, et cetera, kind of like what Robbie does. So, the floor is yours for right now, my man.
Just Bruce Ackerman, Scotty Brown, and Justin Bland for the Cup Series, and then B car. I just picked up Paul Granada today, so thanks for him jumping on board last minute. Kind of lost a couple of guys on that team, so glad he was able to step up and fill a ride. And the 2 drivers on my truck team, I guess I'll give them a shout out too. They're kind of new. Alex Edelman and Blade Timmons, and also Zach Wilson. So just giving a shout out to my entire team. Hopefully we're able to win championships in all 3 series and get something done.
Hey, man, I think it'll be, I mean, like I've said it a lot, I think it'll be a good season, hopefully. I think it'll be a long season, obviously, but, with the real schedules. But I think, at the end, obviously, we're all here to have some fun. So hopefully, obviously it's fun. And me, you, and compete for another championship. Obviously, different series this time, but hopefully we're there.
Yep, hopefully.
All right, thanks for coming on, man. Hopefully we'll do some more of these and have you on again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well,
But
Corey.
real quick, I am gonna say to Josh Derriman here, we do have a plan. Damn it, you were informed. Don't wreck. I can't afford to.
Yeah.
Shit's expensive.
Well, kind of kept him just to talk about some stuff, but um, I know obviously the Clash has not been started the live yet. Robbie's been a little busy, which is fine. You know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not complaining or anything, but I mean, when you get to watch it, Corey, I guess I can ask you this now. Are you kind of going to watch that? Obviously, the win could be different and whatnot, different scenarios, but are you kind of going to watch that and see, how certain drivers, I guess, handled the win and handled certain situations and kind of use it as almost like a study guide for you, maybe, you and your team?
Oh God, yeah. And I feel like if you're a championship driver in the Cup, you need to watch this, because if you weren't in the race, you need to watch this, because not only from talking to you and obviously Christian, who just left, uh, it was a phenomenal race, so it's going to be entertaining. However, as a driver standpoint, we obviously don't know how the race is going to be for the duels or the 500, so you need to watch this to see, just in case the weather is windy again. I mean, for all we know, the wind could be out of the north, and then that's going to give you huge headwind down the backstretch, and then down the front. I mean, balls to the wall down the front stretch for that dog leg. It's going to be crazy. So you're going to want to try to figure something out on how to combat that by watching this race, and especially with some championship drivers in this race as well. You're going to want to see how they kind of react around other cars as well. So I guess it's a little more strategy playing in that sense too, with trying to figure out, like, okay, well, BP does this in this scenario, or so and so does this in this scenario, and so on and so forth. So it's, to me, I feel like when Robbie does get the broadcast going, no hurries. We're just waiting on you, Robbie. Come on. But it's going to be fun to watch, and I feel like if you are going to be a Cup Championship driver, you should give this a watch, just to figure some stuff out here.
Yeah, I will say I agree. I mean, obviously, we talked, and obviously we know I will not be there for, we'll call it the 375 now, but I'll be running the duels next week just to guarantee one of my guys has a starting spot. Hopefully keep the car clean, obviously, and give him hopefully a second place starting spot if I can keep it clean. But just, I almost look at this too as like a growing period, because I know last year, like I said, we only had, I think, like 43 guys registered. Everybody showed up for both Daytona races, the truck and the B, and we had full fields. We also started 40 people in trucks just because we didn't cut it off. But we had full fields both Daytona races, and then I look at this year. Like I said, I think if you add obviously all the championship guys up, like I said, the 36 truck, I think the 30 Cup or whatever it is, and the 17B, we're at well over 60 drivers, which to me is just phenomenal. And I think like, I'm not even trying to take credit. I think it all goes towards the racing. I mean, it shows that the racing isn't bad. You know what I mean? Like, while yes, you might have a bad week and wreck or whatnot, but at the same time, it's also, you have your good weeks where you run and you're finishing top 5 or top 3, or maybe you run top 20, and one week you can pull out a top 10. I think it shows just how good the racing is here.
Oh God, yeah. And like I've said before, I mean, you and I have talked privately numerous times, because I mean, from the time that I've joined NORA, like, you and I have gotten really close. Me and Jake have gotten Jake Boyer have gotten real close. Me and Brian Powell have gotten close. Like, we've all gotten pretty tight, and like, you've become like a brother to me. And like, just being here in NORA, seeing how everybody races, like, this is the most fun racing I've ever been a part of. And even though I've struggled an awful lot, I've been pissed off at myself like crazy, been pissed off at others because, they wreck, I get caught up in their crap. I'm going to be pissed. But not necessarily at them. It's just pissed. I wrecked. You're going to be pissed. And regardless, like, this is the cleanest, most fun racing I've been around. And I think if there's anybody watching what we're doing here, watching this podcast, or anybody that might potentially watch this podcast and they catch on to this, definitely keep an eye out for Backward Hat Productions. Watch for NORA. Watch our league. Watch our races. Like, we're a great group of guys. We're very fun to be around. We race real well, real clean, and our races are extremely entertaining. Because, I mean, look, Justin Bland died last night, and he's going to turn around and race next week. So, hey, you get to die one day and turn around and race the next. You're good to go. We're all good here. So, I mean, racing-wise, I love this place. I love this league. I love you guys. I love everyone here. Except Josh Stearman, he's an asshole. But, like I said, Backwards Hat Productions, give those guys a shout. They're awesome.
Yeah, Robbie's definitely helped us out. I would say more so, not even just like the racing and broadcasting. There's been some nights, he kind of tells me, you'll be like when I'm messaging him talking about, just the highs and lows of running a league, and he kind of just, reminds me why I do it, and keeps my head on straight, and keeps it going. But I think we're right around the time where we want to be, so I guess we'll kind of start sort of wrapping. We'll get our championship predictions in for Cup, and then we can kind of talk about the Clash again real quick. The qualifying. So just looking at times real quick, I guess we'll start with qualifying, start at the beginning, and then work our way to the playoffs. But we had 40 people exactly enter the server. 38 took time. The top 32 were all within a tenth. 32nd was .09 off the pole, which, yeah, some guys, they'll just chalk it up to restrictor plate racing and, Dega and Daytona qualifying, but even more so than that, the top 23 were within .5 or .05, sorry. So to me, that's even more impressive.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I know a lot of people are just going to say, who gives a damn, because it's Daytona. Danica Patrick sat on the pole at Daytona. Anybody could do it. But no. But the way qualifying was, it was extremely difficult. Because, like you and I have talked about, in my practice runs, in the 30-minute practice session, my times were right on par with yours. Like, you ran, a 49.305. Mine was around there, like 49.306, 49.307, very close to that. And then I turn around and my fastest time was a 49.447. Like, that's how quickly things change. Like, I understand, that, this was static weather and stuff like that, but that wind, like, I know it's like 22 miles an hour. I knew what the wind was doing, but it's like, it seriously just felt like my car was completely different from the practice session to qualifying, just like that. And it really did catch me off guard. I had no idea why I ran that slow, because in the other practice qualifying sessions that I've done, in like B car, trucks, even the other Cup testing sessions, like, I've always qualified very well. And hell, like, 2 weeks ago, the last race before class practice, I qualified on the front row. So it's like, that just goes to show how anything can change just like that. And it's not just, it's just Daytona, whatever. just floor it and turn left. Whoop-de-doo. No, like there's still some skill involved in this because like you have to hit these corners a very specific way, or you're going to be off just like that.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it. Like that wind, like I said, we kind of talked before about what I was going to change and try and make it better. And, I did the same thing, but I know some guys, just watching the times roll in, because I kind of stayed in the session, just watching them roll in. Some guys, it definitely threw for a loop. And, just having the Clash experience now before the duels, if we have another bad wind, not saying it's going to damper the racing, because I think the racing was still good in the Clash, which, like I said, you guys will see whenever the broadcast goes up, but it definitely hinders it. But like I said, I think we should be in the clear from what I've seen so far for like next week. But I mean, like I said, it just goes to show too, though, like how close qualifying is. And granted, I know most of the time super speedways are, but it even with the wind too, throwing everybody for a loop. I think even with the wind, it just goes to show.
Right, and it's like hell. Like even Christian was saying, like you get on that backstretch and that wind's just pushing you hardcore down the backstretch, and then you get into three and you're feeling like Superman, and you're like, all right, I got a hell of a lap going here. As soon as you come out four, it's like it's like the chutes coming off of a dragster. It's like your car slows down just like that. You're going from like damn near 190 to 175 at the drop of a hat. So damn quick. And then, like you said as well, it really does seem like you're just dropping an engine. But you're not because you're just running one lap of qualifying. But it's just how bad the wind was. And even my qualifying lap, like coming off of four, like just hitting the wind just right, the back end stepped out a little bit because the wind pushed my car just that little bit in a weird way to where it just pushed my car up the track and the back end stepped out just a tiny bit. And that was enough to screw my time up that badly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, some people can turn around and say, yeah, well, qualifying doesn't matter, which we'll move on now to the duels, which, like I said, we kind of heard you talk about, getting Brian into the show because one guy, as of right now, will not make. Well, technically, as of right now, it would not matter because one guy in your duel does not have a ride, so that would still put you at the 20. But he is a team owner, so I'm sure he'll, give himself a ride, whatever. So, with that being said, you're back to one guy not making it. So I know your goal is to get Brian in because you're locked in. So, you know, me being in the second one as well, I'll be able to obviously admin, and I can almost use that as a learning period for me as well to, kind of see as far as like how the car's reacting, I guess. Maybe some strategy, if a caution comes out, say on this lap or whatever, pit, don't pit. If it doesn't come out, pit here, stuff like that. But, we'll see. Um, Niels is actually watching. He just said he seconds what you said or touched on in regards to the racing, the people in the league, and the admins. It's been a blast. I appreciate that, Niels. We try. Like I said, this podcast is kind of a new idea Corey actually had, I believe. And we kind of finally decided, fuck it, let's just go for it and see what it comes out to, and see, what kind of type of interaction we get. And obviously, I don't have a lot of on-screen stuff to show besides rides, mainly going back and forth and some finishes and stuff like that. But podcast is mainly known for talking anyway, so you have to listen to me and Corey talk for 2 hours and 40 minutes so far.
Exactly what everybody had hoped for.
So I guess real quick on the duels, obviously no stages. There'll be 45 laps apiece. You cannot make it on fuel, obviously, with 75%, so you will have to pit. So I think that's one thing, to be honest, though. I don't think a lot of guys practice, to be honest with you, because I know, my guys at some point in practice will pull off into a sort of like a mock pit stop. But I don't think people realize, too, how much time you can lose getting on and off pit road just by, not attacking the entry enough or not getting off pit road clean and kind of hooked up, because every millisecond you spend, apart and not hooked up and pushing is, time lost on the track.
Yeah, oh yeah, without a doubt. Like at Daytona, you're getting into pit road so damn fast, and then you just think that you know what you're doing, and then you try to slow up your car, and there's so many times to where you try to slow it up, and then you get caught speeding, or you slow it up too much, and then next thing you know, you're about 300 feet from the line, and you're going 65 miles an hour. That's a lot of time that you're just pissing away getting into pit road.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're getting in there too hot, you lock them up, and you spin it going through the grass. I mean, it happens. You see it all the time. And most definitely, even just for the duels, especially for the go or go homers. And if especially if these 5 championship guys do decide to join up and get thrown into the duels, well, that means that's what 5 more guys or a couple more guys that are going to have to go home from the go or go homers.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, there's 2 that should run. Granted, I don't know, if they're busy or whatnot because their teammates are running. So you figure even then that'll add 1 to my duel 2, and then another 1 to yours. So that'd be 2 going home from yours and 1 from mine. Just with 2 of them joining. So I mean, it either way at this point we're just about going to send 1 person home. So it's going to be interesting for sure.
oh yeah, and it's like what you do on pit road is not said enough, because like there's so many video games out there to where you just get into pit road, get into your pits, and it kind of does it for you. Like it parks your car for you, to where you always get the perfect pit stop, like 13.4 seconds every time. Well, in this game, what the way iRacing is, like if you get a little bit too far to the right, that's just that a little bit farther for your pit crew to get around. Next thing you know, you got a 14.3-second pit stop. Well, that sucks. You hit it perfectly, you're going to hit 13.2. Well, that's that little bit less time that you're on pit road, and then that can make or break your race, especially if you're trying to make the 375. Because with these go or go homers, they're going to be going. They're not going to be wanting to give up any spots. But it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of play things out. So it's like I really don't know what to expect in my duel. All I know is I'm going to be busting my ass to make sure Brian Niels is in. I'm going to be either having him tag on to me and have him follow me through shit, or I'm just going to be pushing him through stuff. I don't care. I want to make sure he's in, so that way it's 1 more person that I have on my side for the 375.
I like I said, I won't be here, so I'm kind of just qualifying my teammate Joey Stats' car just to make sure he's in. But I didn't expect to get front row, so now granted, I kind of told you what we're gonna do, so I have even that much more pressure of like, do I stay up front and kind of just try and lead and hope I don't get caught up in something, or do I just drop in the back, kind of pull a Byron what he did a couple years ago for his first duel, and kind of just drop off the pack and kind of let them just go for it. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. We are approaching our 3-hour mark. We're at like 2:44 right now. My dinner bell is actually ringing. Not really the bell, but being paged. So real quick, we'll wrap up the cup stuff. We kind of touched on the duels a little bit. I guess real quick too, since we did it for the rest. Looking at the duel lineups, duel 1, who are you picking to maybe come out on top?
I'm going to go with the driver starting 8th.
Brian Powell. Any specific reason?
He's, from what I've seen, he's kind of been around the front when he needs to be. He's been very smart. He's been patient. And for the most part, he seems to have kept his nose clean in a lot of the races we've been in. And he's also shown that if need be, he'll put that damn thing 3 wide and make.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because he really, from the looks of it, Yeah, he won't have a teammate necessarily unless we can find somebody to drive the 29, because me and Jake are in duel 2, so he'll kind of have to sort of kind of improvise and kind of find somebody. Matt, thank you for the
Hey,
kind words. Um,
well, I'm just gonna throw it out there then. Hey BP, if you need some help, I'm taking.
put it on your bumper. BP, push here.
There we go.
Um, as far as my pick, I actually don't know. These are actually pretty tough considering they're only 20 car fields. Imagine trying to pick the 500 winner or the 375 winner.
Oh God, I know, right?
I'm gonna go. He's on a satellite team for the Cup cars, but he's one of my B series drivers. I picked him to win the title for B. Actually, we both did. So I'm gonna go with Dalton Tucker for my Duel 1 winner. Duel 2. See, this is a tough one too because we were just talking to him. Being Christian, he ran up front all race. He's got 2 teammates with him, being Bruce and Scotty. Roy's normally good up front. Jake, my brother. We got Stearman in there. Gould is always up front. Bellum. Man. You know, he's undefeated so far. I believe in the Cup sessions. He might have lost 1 to me, I think. And I think I'm going to try and save the car. So I'm going to go with the guy that's won every other time we've hit the track with Cup cars. I'm going to go with Thomas Gould for Duel 2.
I agree.
Man, that's rare. It's going to snow.
Well, it did snow here, so.
All right.
But I completely agree with you on Gould. I mean, dude has been ridiculous. It's like trying to get around him at Daytona is like trying to. I can't even explain it. Like, I would say it's like getting around a wall, but you can get around a wall some way or another. It's been almost impossible to get around Gould.
Yeah, him and Bellum, man, they get linked up and it's scary. And they're already
Yeah,
linked up top, so I'm sure I'm sure I'll have a doozy trying to hold them off.
yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But I guess I'll leave the dual lineups for now because it'll kind of help us figure out our playoff guys as we kind of wrap up here. I got my 16 set. I'll go ahead and read them off kind of as you take a final look. I got, again, in no order, obviously, Powell, Jeremy Chambers, Ethan Lane, Justin Botello, Adam Tevez, Joey Stats, Scott Bellum, Donald Etcher, Bruce Ackerman, Justin Bland, Jaron Hazen, who went quick time last night in our qualifying, new guy, Alex Cummings, Scotty Brown, Cameron Thompson, your boy Stearman, and then I also have you in there clinching a spot at some point.
Oh, no pressure.
Yeah, you better step up. But
Shit.
but now
I
you
know,
got the tough
right?
part of trying to narrow it down to 16.
All right. Uh, I'm gonna go with Powell. Me as well, because I think I'll find some way to do it. Chambers, Ethan Lane, Stearman, Botello, Tevez, Stats, Bellum, Etcher, Hazen, Cumming. Ah, shit. How many is that?
That would be 12.
Ackerman. I'm gonna go with the racer name with Yarborough.
Well, that's actually interesting because I have not heard about him running or anything. So I'll have to check on that one.
Oh well, then I guess I'll just asterisk that one. You know what? I won't go with that then, because I mean, I agree. I mean, I honestly haven't heard a damn thing out of him.
And actually, I had to edit one of my picks. I forgot the obvious choice that we were just talking about for dual winnings. I forgot Thomas Gould.
Yeah. Gould as well, obvious.
Then you got two more.
Go with. Did I say Crump yet?
You did not.
All right, Crump, and I'll go with Trowbridge.
Yeah, Tim is actually a good pick too. He is, I believe, on actually on a satellite team to Gould and Bellum, but obviously, you can still work with satellite. So I think he'll be looking good. All right, so you finished your 16, so I'll let you do the round of 12, and you can give us your guys advancing from the 16.
The 4 out. I will say I will be one of the first out.
Hmm.
Me, Hazen.
Oh, real quick too. Not I don't know if this will affect your decisions, but the first round would be Darlington, Richmond, and Bristol.
Oh yeah, and in that case, I'm definitely one of the first one out.
I have you and Hazen out so far, so you need two more.
Trowbridge and Crump.
Interesting. So now I have to know. You put yourself in the chase, but now you're knocking yourself out round one.
Yep. I'm knocking myself out because I am terrible at Darlington. I'm not that good at Bristol.
No love for Richmond either?
No, I'm absolute shit at Richmond.
Hmm.
Like Stearman can even vouch for that. It's watching me try to race Richmond is like I don't even want to say I'm going to offend people. I'm not even going to say how.
All right. So let's see. I got to cut down four. I think Gould advance. I think Lane advance. I think Botello goes on. I think Ackerman goes on. I think Bland goes on. I think Hazen goes on. I'm going to disagree with you on that one. I think he goes. I think Steer knocks his way through. Here's where it gets tough. I think Brian points his way through. Stats, only because he's a team driver. Wink, wink. Just kidding. I'll put Etcher through. Here's where it gets tough. I'll put Bellum through. My last spot. Mm, let's see. I got Tevez or Cummings. Give it to Cummings. So I got Chambers, Tevez, Thompson, and yourself getting knocked out. Sorry, brother. I think we lost Corey.
Sorry. So what now?
I was just saying I have Chambers, Tevez, Cameron Thompson, and yourself being knocked out. And Josh said it's a toss of the three, which you're worst at.
He's not wrong.
So the round of 12 to the round of 8 would be Vegas, Dega, and the Roval. I think, in my opinion, I think Powell does good at Dega and moves on. I think Gould, Lane, and Botello finish up front. They move on. I got 4 spots left to try and fill. I'll go Bruce, Bland, Etcher. I'll put Joey Stats in there to be my 8. And then I'll do my final 4 in a second. So your 8, you have in your 12, you have Powell, Chambers, Lane, Stearman, Botello, Tevis, Stats, Bellum, Etcher, Cummings, Ackerman, and Gould. Cut it down to 8.
Oh man. Powell, Gould, Stearman, Tevez, Lane, and Chambers will. God, who are the other ones I have?
So you said Powell, Gould, Stearman, Tevis, I think.
Yeah.
Tevis, did you say Chambers too?
Yep.
So that would leave Ethan Lane, Botello, Stats, Bellum, Etcher, Cummings, and Ackerman.
I need 2 more.
3 more. You have 5. You have Powell, Gould, Stearman, Tevis, and Chambers.
Okay. Etcher, Bellum, and I'll go with Stats.
Wow, big picture there. Thinking Ethan Lane, Justin Botello, Bruce Ackerman, and Thomas Gould get knocked out.
Yeah, I just have a feeling like as well as they've run, like I just have a feeling like with as tight as a lot of these guys have run together, one little mistake could end up wiping them out and just costing them something. So I mean,
Actually,
it's so what?
I lied. You had Gould in. I lied. My bad. So it was Lane, Botello, Cummings, and Ackerman. My bad. All right. So you got your, I guess we'll call them Elite 8. And now you go kind of the same as the B. You go Kansas, Texas, and then Martinsville again for the cutoff. You have Powell, Gould, Stearman, Tevis, Chambers, Etcher, Bellum, and Stats. Who's going to Phoenix to compete for the Cup title? The inaugural Cup title.
BP. Bellum. Etcher. And Steer, if you're listening still, don't fuck me over. Steer's gonna make it.
And who's your champion?
Going with Ethan.
Who?
So I don't know why I said Ethan. Sorry, my bad. I was looking at his name on here. I meant Bellum.
Bold prediction. Bellum to win the title. I like it. All right. My final 4 from Gould, Lane, Botello, Powell, Ackerman, Bland, Etcher, and Stats. I think Lane makes it. I think Botello makes it. Oof. Steer said thanks for the pressure.
You're welcome, sweetie.
I'm going to go Bellum's teammate makes it Gould and I'll say Donald. As far as the champion, I mean, Gould did win the B race there to kind of lock in. Ethan also didn't run, Botello didn't run, and I think Donald finished second or third, I believe. Steerman goes, I was hoping neither of you picked me for the chase. Makes you feel any better, Steer. I had you getting out in the round of 12. Made it to the round of 12 and then got out. I'm going to pick... this is tough. I'm going to go the same stable you went, but just Bellum's teammate. I'm going to say he not necessarily repeats, but he keeps one of the titles at Imperial Motorsports, and Thomas Gould is our inaugural Cup champion.
It's gonna be a fantastic pick too.
I think, all in all, I think not even just looking at this series alone, I think we've said it basically all day, just about. It's going to be a great season regardless. I think the competition, the scheduling, just the amount of people we have, it's going to be a blast.
Oh God, yeah, dude, it's gonna be insane. Like I don't even really know what to say much about the Cup just because we haven't really run much at any other tracks. Most of the stuff that I've seen has been all here at Daytona and stuff like that. So it's like I feel like with how a lot of these guys are and how they've all been running and stuff, it's like it's gonna be really tight. And I know for sure from seeing BP run, he's gonna be fast. Obviously, Gould and Bellum are gonna be very fast. They always have been. Ethan Lane's going to be quick. Roy Crump's always up there. Josh Stearman, like I said, I've run with him for the better part of 10 years, and he's always been very good, and no matter what he's been put in. So I think he's going to be, I think even though he says he shouldn't be, but he's going to have his name up there for a title contention there.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, the trucks just, with the competition, it's anybody's game. The B car with all the road courses and now adding Indy, into the regular season, and then even Martinsville in the chase, and then just Cup, just being Cup in the package and whatnot. I think it'll be interesting to say the least. We're right at our mark, buddy. We said we didn't want to be too long, but too short. We're right just past 3 hours. I think it's perfect. So, if you have any kind of last words, who you want to thank and whatnot, we'll start wrapping up.
For me, I mean, I just want to thank, obviously, you. I mean, you put on a hell of a show here at NORA. You're an amazing owner. Not trying to kiss your ass here, but for real, you run a really tight ship. You run really clean racing here. Everything's real well. And also, kind of going to go in my own house here. Going to thank my future wife, Kelly Waits. She is sponsoring the duels for next week. So they will next week's going to be the Bellaney Flowers duels. Want to thank her for that. That's pretty cool. Uh, also want to thank Robbie over at Backwards Hats. He's going to be helping out a lot too. And I also want to thank everybody that's jumped on board with my team. Nathan, Josh, Craig, Ryan, and Sean. You guys are awesome. Craig, get well. We're all thinking about you, especially you, Brian. I know a lot of guys don't know, but Brian's going through another bout with cancer, so all of our thoughts are with you here. Get well, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like I told everybody else that's been in chat and whatnot. Thank you for the kind words, obviously. I mean, you're part of the ship now, man. Half, not really half, but this all isn't, just on me anymore. It's, you guys too. So, everybody's that's helping and whatnot, and yeah, especially like I said, the admins and stuff. Um, it's more so on, a lot of other people now. Also, you mentioned the sponsorship. I just quick threw that into the stream. I added the picture, so now that is currently on the stream now for you. Thank you guys, obviously, for doing that. It's a huge help. Yeah, just, I mean, for the first time, I think it went well. I think, obviously, as we do this more, hopefully, and get more used to it and whatnot, we can, maybe fix a few things here or there, maybe shorten a couple spots up. But thank you, all the league guys that were watching, any of the non-league guys that were watching. If you have any questions, feel free to message us on Facebook, National Oval Racing Association NORA. Like I said, I think at one point we were up to 11 people watching. We've held right around 5 or 6 the whole time. So thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, obviously next week, another Truck Daytona practice/race, another B Daytona practice/race. And then we have our duels to set the field for the 375. So, hopefully we'll see you all on track at some point. I know, like I said, I've seen a couple different guys out there. I know JJ, Stearman, Ben, Brian, Matt, representing all the series basically out here. So, just trying to have some fun here. And like I said, Corey, thanks for kind of having the idea and coming out and helping me with this today. I had a good time.
Oh, me too, man, and I can't wait till next week. I think, especially ramping up for the season openers a couple days after that. Next week's gonna be a blast. It's gonna be.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's definitely gonna be something to watch for. I'm definitely gonna keep my eye on the weather, this week leading up to it all. But for myself and Corey and all the guys over at NORA, the other admins, Jake Boyer, Chad Engel, Brian Powell, we appreciate you guys coming and watching. Like I said, all league guys, non-league guys, whoever, we appreciate it. Hopefully, like I said, we can kind of continue to do this possibly every week, bring on some new guests, some new winners, stuff like that. Other than that, like I said, that's all we have for today's episode. We will catch you guys next time.